All right, welcome to the show. It's Len Dorman with Southern Fried Paranormal. And tonight we have Chris Carr with Kristen, excuse me. We will be showing them in just a minute coming up. But I'd like to talk a little bit about them for a little bit. Sorry once again about the slow internet. It's been really slow today. In fact, about 9 o'clock it was really terribly slow. So now it looks like I got some speed. Here's Chris's family. And got Kristen in here somewhere. If it shows up, there we go. That's going to be the guest night. They look about like that. It's marvelous people. They've got their own show, and they'll be talking about their show tonight in just a matter of a few minutes. I'm bring them on out. About Oscar and Chris Johnson make a Dark Horse Paranormal. Besides other shows, Dark Horse Paranormal Podcast and Bigfoot and the Bunny, which I think is just as cute as it gets, they are avid phenomena researchers and investigators. They believe that while I need to drink some water. Spirituality is most often a subjective experience. There is an objective reality that we're all transversed through and can only understand through the lens of consciousness. Okay, this is getting deep. Theology and ancient history give us fingerprints and other clues, but many truths are still not fully understood by current science. There's a lot that's not understood by current science and are not explained in history books. We feel consciousness connects us all things and ascribe to the philosophies of what in the world is that word? Panpsychism and the spirituality of animism. Wow. Which allows for consciousness to potentially be attributed to all matter in some way in spirituality that doesn't begin and with humanity in a state of deep respect while standing in awe of others, those entities that we seemingly not of human origin. Okay, that was a mouthful of words. Some butchered. I am very bad about butchering big words. So to explain all these big words and exactly what they do and some of their background, let's bring on Chris and Kristen.
Hey there.
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. And yeah, we get a little wordy sometimes.
You actually said panpsychism.
You said it correctly.
You said it correctly.
Right. So ding, ding, ding. Very good. I don't know if it's a delay, but I still see our picture.
Did I nail it? Wow. I'm going to pass out.
That's all right. You know, we could just be we're talking. So that is awesome.
That's
there you go.
That's on me. It's everything's kind of jumping around here. All right. Let me do this. I think. Tell everybody that may not know you a little bit about yourselves.
Well, we both had very haunted childhoods, and the effects of that childhood thing is affected us different ways. Like I was always drawn to this stuff, and as well as the occult and horror movies, and I was like a creepy kid, and I still am at heart. Where Kristen was really put off by it, you know.
Yeah, I grew up with two shadow beings. One was the classic Hat Man. Thank you, Heidi Hollis, for trademarking that. And the other one looked like the nun from The Conjuring. So even though I had other spirits around me as well, those two were very traumatic to me, and I didn't want anything to do with this at all. So I learned how to kind of block it out as I was getting older.
Repress it, you know.
Yeah, not seeing it.
And she wasn't into my doings, right? So like I had been on paranormal teams and stuff like that, and I was into this stuff, but we were dating for a couple of years before Kristen even more than that, and would even like look at this stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe tell them about that story.
My house got pretty active. So the house I'm currently in is was built in 1740, so I'm sure it has a lot of history, throughout everything. And they used to have what they call them parlors, the funeral parlors and things. So stuff started happening in my house. I'd like my refrigerator door would be just slamming open by itself, and just like
It was a lot
things
of
are being thrown. I mean, literally thrown at us, and or across the room as well. And so I said to Chris, I can hear things, and my son, my 15-year-old, was hearing things at the same time. So I was like, we really need to do something. And I broke down and I asked Chris, I'm like, bring in your tools, let's do something. And I was scared to death. I really was.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because, I think most places have a spirit of the land or the house or somebody in it. And, I think during COVID, for example, a lot of people figured out their houses were actually at least slightly haunted. And Kristen had that, but it got worse. And it really did. Like she said, the fridge is actually really hard to open. And it did like just open up by itself, nobody around the thing, and been shut for hours. And stuff was flying around it. When you say that now, it did sound a little movie like it was more like things like on top of that said fridge would just kind of jettison off. And I actually saw some of this myself, and I was like, okay, that's not gravity. So how, there's something going on. And maybe through my working it up with you, you finally relented, and we started off by doing a 20-minute session, 10 minutes of trying to get EVPs and 10 minutes of spirit box, and we got all kinds of stuff back. And
you can hear it. It is my first time. You can hear it in my voice. When we do play the clips, I'm like, oh my God, you got to shut this off. it's freaking me out.
Right?
Wow.
That was the spirit box. Yeah.
Yeah, the spirit box. We
like,
got our name back like several times. I have an EVP of, saying, hey, Kristen, like that. And this is just 20 minutes. And I'm used to like being in the house overnight, and just getting all this data, hoping to get one little EVP. In 20 minutes, we get a whole bunch of stuff. So it took you
3 weeks.
3 weeks
to listen
to it. And I was so excited. And I cannot tell you, I'm like playing it back. I'm like, oh my
You've
word.
got to hear
this.
Nope.
Just put on the headphones.
Nope.
No. She wouldn't listen 3 weeks. Yeah. But now she's, can't wait to play it. So
now I understand.
It's totally different. So that was how we got into the paranormal stuff. And we continue to investigate our house, and it has calmed down, the activity, but we've gotten some great data there. I really think that people are sort of haunted, not just locations as well. And that plays a role.
Yes. Some people are haunted, not necessarily an attachment, but some people are just haunted.
Yes.
Yeah.
We agree.
Yeah. The attachments aren't a good thing. We would have a we would have one eventually.
I had one. It wasn't fun.
Yeah, same here. We had one, and I have some clips of that. Actually, we were set up for something else last week, so I'm looking at what I got on the board here. Yeah, we'll tell you about its groups, or we call it the Evil AM Band.
Yeah.
So just to kind of let me break this down real fast. We had gone to Hope Cemetery, which is in Worcester, Massachusetts, and there's a certain mausoleum that we were seeking out. Now, Hope is actually a beautiful, gorgeous, very scenic cemetery with very large structures and statuary. Yeah, if you look it up online, you'll see some of the pictures. Goddard is buried there. Mm-hmm. The guy who invented rocketry, basically. It's got gorgeous mausoleums and stuff. But there was one mausoleum, and it looks like a castle, that we wanted to go to because we had read a story about it being broken into, and apparently been broken into many times, which seems unusual because it's such a large cemetery, like why they would choose this one. But they knew who did it. They found the guy who did it. He was using the bones for Santeria.
He was the high priest of Santeria.
And he was using the bones in his rituals, which, we're kind of into the occult, so nothing against that, but we thought it was very interesting. He would go and steal bones. Like, who is this guy? And some of the bones were returned, but not all.
And there are children buried in there, 2 children.
There are children, yeah. So you wonder, like, what's really in the thing. But we thought, well, let's go there and just see if we get some EVPs. We'll check out the cemetery. It's supposed to be nice. That kind of thing. And then we got this weird thing on our AM band where periodically it would just kind of whisper, "It speaks, it speaks." And I'm going to play you some of these clips.
Can't escape.
Can't escape. And
We're like witches.
some of it's a little bit of pareidolia. We're thinking it's different words, but it kind of is like "it speaks" and
Yeah.
"but it can't escape," and that's mostly it. Then we really became obsessed with this because it tied back to a very active location that we had been to that's nearby. And we started obsessing on this data. And that was kind of the downfall because we thought it was always cryptic things. So besides the "it speaks," it would start to say things like it speaks ravens and lament.
Yeah.
It speaks buried in the woods,
It
and like
speaks
really weird stuff.
hybrids.
Yeah, and we found we could get this going anywhere. So we took the box. We could do it in our homes. We could do it at other locations. And we really obsessed on it because it started to tell us a story about, a probable buried, murdered man just
Yes.
outside of a cemetery and a different one. And we pieced all this stuff together
And
because
that
we
man
were
was supposedly
obsessing.
talking to us too.
Yes, and you could
During
hear
the
him
speaks.
like in the background doing yelling and doing other things. It was really weird.
Yeah.
It got bizarre. And that kind of brought negative things our way. Because I think just because we were so obsessed with it, you started like seeing weird stuff, and like to see things as a psychic.
I tried blocking that out, but I saw the Hat Man for the first time that I haven't seen in so long during that time. And I also saw a big gray mist come around me while we were doing a podcast.
Oh yeah, well this is interesting.
And
so this is you playing it back on your phone. You got to set this up the right way.
it was my laptop. Yeah.
Or your laptop.
Yes.
At home, right?
Yep.
After the show, you're watching it back.
Yep. So I was watching it back, and as I was watching it back, I thought one of my cats had jumped up on the little table behind me, and I'm like, wait, what? And I kept going backwards and playing it frame by frame by frame, and each frame has this large dark mist coming from the left side of me, like right here. My cat I thought was behind me, like I said, on the table, and just comes over, reaches over around and puts a big wispy black hand in my camera lens on my laptop. And I was bloody freaking out. Oh yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah, so
I'm like, so much so that I'm like, you've got to go to 21.
She's telling me this stuff at
30
work,
or
and
something.
I'm sitting there on my phone at work, like playing out on my computer, and I'm like, I don't see anything. But she definitely saw it. She could rewind it, and she kept seeing it. You were seeing other things like gargoyles. Really weird stuff.
God, we were standing outside his house one night, and we're not, like looking up at the sky and everything. And all of a sudden, I ducked real quick. He goes, "What's the matter?" And I started freaking out. I'm like, "There's this gargoyle." I couldn't really talk because I'm running in the house, and he gets in the house with me. He's like, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, "I just saw like an 10-foot gargoyle looking creature with this monkey like gargoyle face." It freaked me out so bad. And it was flying. It had wings. Yes. And it was going up to the tree and coming around. And I was like, I'm out. I know I don't do drugs. So no, it wasn't that. This is serious. This was a serious thing. And I wouldn't go outside for days, and he smoked cigarettes. So it was that bad.
Yeah.
Hi, Joshua.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Josh.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, guys. Yeah, we are both having a lot of really weird phenomena. Like there was stuff happening here too. And we had to walk away from it. We took a break. We couldn't get rid of it. We tried all these traditional ways and sort of, in like say witchcraft ways and things of that nature, magic and stuff, and it just wasn't working. We were trying hoodoo and washing the floors with the wash, and we do that anyways once in a while, but nothing was working. We really just had to take a break from it. Let me see if I got a couple of those clips. I'll play some of it for you.
Which one? AM
band, we call this, and I'm not sure what order they're in. I apologize, but you'll get the basic idea.
But bigger.
Yes. Let me think B. Yes. So let me know if this is too loud. Just let me know, okay, Len? Yeah, that probably wasn't the best one to start with.
It speaks anger.
Anger.
And you hear that
It builds. It was one I
to the
wanted
thing in the woods.
first. Let's see.
But it wasn't just saying like it's when it got like really, I don't, what do you say, emotional? It just sometimes it got, instead of saying it speaks can't escape, it would say it speaks ravens and lament. It would speak, it speaks anger.
I was just so
really
cryptic.
weird.
So you hear that, just there's nothing, and it speaks, and it built from there, and it ends up being a lot of stuff. I'm happy to play some of this for you, but I'm not sure what exactly the clip is, unfortunately. So try this one.
Energy hostility. Energy hostility. Negative energy. Is this really Frank? Who are we speaking to?
Stop it.
Real long is. I gotta just kill that one because I'm not even sure what some of these are, but I know they're related to it. Those maybe not the best examples, but you get the idea and the gist with the it speaks, and anyways, so just getting a lot of words around it. Yeah, so that was a crazy thing. We had to walk away and just take a break, and we kind of switched gears. We got off of all of that, and we went back with Native American type hauntings, and we have quite an area for that. We live in the Bridgewater Triangle area, which you're probably familiar with or have heard of, and it's just known to be haunted.
Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
It seems like it, you know, although the triangle doesn't actually stretch to Rhode Island. Most people think it should.
It should.
Okay. That's a part of the country I only went through once. I was basically on a bus between Hartford, Connecticut, and Boston.
That's where we are, right between those two.
So I kind of went through a little bit of that area. But that was way back in 83.
Back in our day.
Yeah. Well, we do like it out here. It's great to be able to travel a little bit here and there. We went to South Carolina not too long ago to Haygood Mill
Pickens.
in Pickens, South Carolina, for the Haunting at the Mill Paracon. And that was a great time. And
It was an 18-hour drive straight through.
yeah, it should have been 14, but I had to keep getting out and stretching and just like, you know, the old bones don't work like
You had to keep pulling over.
They
We're
used
like,
to.
when we were 20, we could do this.
Yeah, you go
straight through.
through.
Didn't have to, stop and stretch.
20
times.
Just get out of the car. But that was really fun, and we got to meet a lot of our friends, including our guest tonight. So it was Fried Paranormal Research on our show, which is Dark Horse Paranormal on Thursday nights, and Bigfoot and the Bunny on Saturday nights. And you can find our Facebook pages just by looking for those words, and we're on YouTube as Dark Horse Paranormal Productions as well. Throw a plug out.
Thank you.
Little shameless self.
What time are you on Saturday night?
Saturday nights we're usually on at 7. Now we are notoriously late for everything,
Always.
so just so you know, and we will move times. So you got to watch the pages. You got to go and subscribe. If there's a notify in the YouTube, it's a good idea to click it for us because we really won't bug you with anything but a show we're doing.
Yeah.
And those times can get weird, but go and like our pages. We have all kinds of archive shows, so it's been a lot of fun. Now we also have Reggie and Greg on with us. I see Nathaniel Gillis out there.
Hello. That's our brother from
That's
another
our
mother.
brother from another mother. Yes.
Reggie and Greg.
Reggie and Greg have a show on our kind of mini network, if you will. Perfectly Normal Paranormal Communications. They're on Thursday nights, and Reggie does another show on Tuesdays now called Beyond the Grave. So those are on our Facebooks. Please check them out.
Yes, please.
But Wait, let me see if I got some other clips that I know are good. I'm sorry, there's a whole bunch of them here, Len, and I didn't prepare well, so
Should start.
I just changed this up. Remember last week?
My house. Yeah, we're
Changed it.
another show.
I had these down.
Thank you, Nate.
So this is one kind of, we had a lot of activity at this point. Now this is following the kind of AM band stuff. I'm at my house, and it was a different house than this one.
Yeah.
Kristen is at her place, and we're together like half the week or whatever, but you know, we get kids and all that. So she's at her place, and she calls me like, oh, we should do a session. There's a weird energy or something. And then, so I set up a Tascam field recorder on a coffee table in front of me. I put her on speakerphone, and we're getting ready to do a spirit box session. Not even thinking. When we went to play it back, there's this great EVP right before we even get into the spirit box. So you hear us like talking to it, like
You hear me say black box.
right, because we're gonna go to please speak into the black box. And
This is the thing I have. We have like 50 black boxes with us wherever we go. So I'm like, can you please speak in this black box? This black box. I feel like an airline stewardess, whatever.
yeah, we don't even know what the colors are like, but we don't know.
Yeah.
You know. And we got this EVP back that says, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
And they're gonna hear a voice. It's not Kristen, and there's nobody home in either of our homes. Oh, look at
Or this box or that box.
yeah, that's us readying for it. So you hear that, I'm gonna say it. That is an EVP. That's probably
On
one
the
of our
phone.
yeah. Well, she's
or
on the
over
phone.
the phone.
She's on the phone. You hear her voice on
Yeah.
speaker. But yeah,
It's
so that
it's ridiculous.
that was pretty cool.
So that was an actual EVP, not somebody speaking.
Correct.
That sounded like somebody speaking.
Yes,
did.
it does.
Yes.
It's a one of her best. That's why I wanted to play that one.
Yeah.
It's really clear. I'll play it for you again. Sorry about that. I'll explain that.
Or this box or that box.
Yeah. So that you hear that sound, that isn't a spirit box. With our Tascam recorder, we've been using. If you overdrive it or something's too loud, you probably experience this. It starts to do that distorted thing. Well, I know the recorder well. I've had it a long time, and I know how to place it so it doesn't do that. But what we've found is sometimes when we get like really good data, that'll just start to happen. It'll be all flat, no problems, and then like activity picks up, and this recorder will start doing that thing like it's being overdriven, and there'll be something on there. And that's what was,
But
yeah.
that one, that's like our best Class A EVP ever.
Right. We've had situations where like the REM pods started going off and all that stuff, and the recorder just by itself will start doing that distorted thing. Nothing's any louder in the room than it was before, and that's when we capture the best stuff. We really like the ITC and audio end of this.
Okay.
Go ahead. So,
What else you got? You said you had a lot of stuff. What else you got?
yeah, we get stuff. Sure,
We do.
we do. Some of it's kind of humorous. I recognize the name of this one.
Yeah.
So I can't see the full name on the board, so sorry. Technical difficulties and old age here. This is, we had been investigating a Quaker burial ground for quite a bit of
You're
time.
not as old as I am yet.
Not yet, but we will be, hopefully,
Soon.
eventually. And the Quakers lived a very hard life in New England. And when with the first settlers here and the Mass Bay colonies, before we were, in independent country, they were basically treated like witches. And
Because the Puritans were the ones who.
the Puritans were in New England. They kind of settled it for the most part. And they really didn't like them. And the only difference between them, I mean, morally, is that they didn't have a priest, right? So just the pure fact that they speak directly to God, right, as they see fit, and they don't require a priest was enough to create an intense amount of hatred, to the point where like they would arrest them on the boats when they would arrive. They cut off their ears, scar them, and eventually some were hung. They're known as the Boston Martyrs, and we know some very interesting history around that community because we think it's so, interesting. Nobody really talks about it,
Not at all.
but it's a real thing. Anyway, so in this clip here,
They actually hang people for religious reasons.
Yes.
yeah, it is before we were settled. It was Mass Bay colonies here, and Boston Martyrs. So you want to look up, yeah. So this is Kristen with an app, I believe, and we don't use or really like apps very much, but we use them for certain things, and this one had been pretty good.
Are you Quakers?
So that one is kind of a little bit of a joke one because we don't think it said anything nice back.
No.
I hope that was all right. Len, there's another one. We were doing a session at Kristen's house. These aren't even like.
I have an adult setting on my YouTube.
Oh, good.
Okay, thank you. After I clicked the button, I thought of that. I'm like, oh, that's all right. All I can see is Quaker. I forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it says. Sorry, shame. This one is titled 24, and
Oh yeah.
this was a night we got a lot of activity in your house. This was pretty good. So it's a spirit box, but listen to how many times you hear the word, the number 24.
How many are here besides Kristen and I? How many consciousnesses?
24.
So that's right. That one's only twice.
Yeah, it's the
So the first time is the box goes 24, and then Chris is 24.
I laughed and I said 24.
And then you hear it go
And
24.
it, like correct
Hopefully that's
me,
clear
like
through the stream.
24, you know.
Let me know
Yes.
if any of this isn't clear. Sometimes this works out better on streams than others. I can assure you, when headphones here, it sounds great. So I don't know how it's always coming across. But that was pretty good.
Well, headphones here, so it sounds great.
All right, sounded good
Excellent.
to you. You
Thank
could hear
you.
the 24s clearly. All right, very good. This one is we called it. It was Paul. And it's from the same session as
Yeah.
the one you just heard.
Who just ran their fingers through my hair?
Sorry.
Do you think it was Paul?
So if you listen carefully, it says Paul, I don't know,
It's like
like
the
7,
blame
8
game.
times or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. Like there's no other chances of getting that on a spirit box, or just scanning stations on a radio. So that's pretty good. Let me see. I know probably Josh and Nathaniel and Bob have heard some of these, so I'm going to try to find one I haven't played in a while. This one is pretty cool, actually, right? This was actually what we were preparing for last week, where our names get read back. And this is like one of the first times we did anything together.
I think it was the
think
first
so.
time
So
we
I think
did.
it's
Yeah, we
this
went out.
one. So this is all of it, and then I'll separate the names.
Everywhere. It's in hospital.
Sorry, it gets really loud at the end. We need to edit that. But yeah, Kristen's name gets called several times, and I believe the clip starts with my name, and I've separated them here, so I'm not sure who's who, but we'll figure it out. All right, that's me. It says Chris Carr. I'll play that again. And then Kristen's name starts getting called. Kristen calling Kristen, actually, is what that says.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. We haven't listened to that in a long time. Believe it or not, I just put that on the board last week because we're going to do something. We were going to do open lines and just put a bunch of clips on there.
Yeah, there's a lot in it. Joshua said he heard, "Hey everyone," and there is a lot. And we're also talking over it because we're just setting up. We didn't, and that's usually when we get some of our best data is when we're just talking to each other and not listening to the spirit box.
Yeah.
And then we'll go home and, we'll play it. And we're like, oh my God, they're talking to us already, and
Yeah.
we don't hear them. We're talking to each other. So.
Exactly. Like it happens when we're not asking the questions and stuff.
Yeah, we get some funny things too.
So yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, it's hard to hear everything live. You have to review it at home.
Yes, we agree with you.
Yeah, we had no idea about like that. I'm going to say it EVP or
no,
really anything. The spirit box. I mean, that's the beauty of the spirit box is you're likely to hear it. You hear some of it. The EVPs you rarely hear stuff. Although we do have an interesting story about that. So kind of the reverse of it happened to us at our favorite haunted Quaker cemetery that we're not really supposed to mention on the air. That's in Massachusetts. We were walking toward the wall in there. It was our first time in, and we had never been to the spot. It's located off the road. You have to go about a half mile down like a dirt road, and it's heavily patrolled with like park police and reservoir. There's a
reservoir police. Yeah.
Right. There's a reservoir there.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly fine to go during the day, which it was. But still, we were a little on edge. I'm like, I don't know, we hadn't been here before, all that stuff. So anyways, we're walking toward outer stone wall, and somebody goes, hello, like right next to us. And I've got this recorded. And we both jumped up in the air. We're like, who the hell's that? I thought the park police were there or something. And I got up on the stone wall, and I'm looking. I don't see anybody around. And I jumped off the wall, and the recorders picked up an EVP right then.
Yes.
Right. And said, rock was old. And because a rock had fallen off the wall, and I jumped off.
He jumped down.
Clicked and made this noise. And then you hear this kind of colonial sounding voice say, rock was old. And all rocks are old. So I don't know what he really meant by that. But that was the weird EVP we got. Anyways, when we played all that stuff back, the thing that made us jump up in the air, the guy yelling at us, is not on there. Oh, what makes that interesting? Kristen is holding a recorder.
With these
noise canceling headset, like these headphones, on or plugged in. So all Kristen is hearing is coming through the recorder.
Right through the recorder.
And she heard it as loud as I did.
It was recording.
It was like somebody was next to us. I'm like, hello.
It echoed.
Yeah. Like it just was like booming next to us. But very clear. And
it's not on the recorder at all.
And you hear us freaking out, like, what the hell?
Yep.
What was that? But that didn't go on the recorder, even though she heard it. Which is an interesting point, right? Like, how does that happen? So we theorize that they have the ability to manipulate their eardrum, just like they would a microphone, because they essentially are the same thing. Right? For lack of better technical terms, it's a vibrating slap.
There you go.
It's a flapper.
All right.
Yes, and yeah.
Well, Bob has a.
Yes.
Do you guys? Oh, I'm sorry.
Bob had a question. I got it on the screen. You guys ever?
Go ahead.
You guys ever do straight EVPs instead of the spirit box?
Yes, Bob. All the time. I'm going to say it's an EVP, and our first session that we did together, explained earlier, was a 20-minute session because Kristen was, not really into doing this stuff. Half of that was just asking questions and doing EVP work.
And that's usually what we do. We do that set up for EVPs first, and then we'll do,
We'll switch over to the box afterwards.
Box.
I believe spirit can speak, but chooses who can hear or allow it on recorder, Joshua says. And yeah, exactly. And in that case of the hello, I mean, I was making a joke about the flapping, but that is what they're doing. They're manipulating that. And we've seen instances and had things where you've had, multiple recorders set up and there's only something on one of them. We just went through something like that on the USS Salem.
Yes. We did.
Yeah, that it's weird. It's like they choose where to speak to. I've heard other researchers speak on this as well. And so there's a phenomena to it.
Yes. I spend so much time investigating by myself. I kind of lose track of the fact that spirits can do this. That when you've got 2 or 3 people, they need to speak to only one person.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, there could be 10
lose track of that because most often, the last few years, I've been alone.
It's the same with apparitions, right? So it's like, what you're going to say there.
I was going to
Get
say if
10
it's
people.
like 10 people in a room, only like 2 or 3 people could hear it.
Hear
Right.
it, see it, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It's weird. Like they do seem to pick and choose. I mean, why are some people really psychically gifted and they seem to talk to, and others they don't? It's interesting.
Can't find the ones from my house.
Yes, and I've seen it where they speak to everybody. I had one pass through me, pass through the K2 meter I was having, and shove a guy the other side of the circle we were standing in.
Come
And
on.
everybody saw and heard me react, saw the K2 meter go off, and then saw the guy fall backwards
Wow.
that was on the other side of the circle. And other times I've seen where only one person heard or saw anything in the room.
Yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely decide, and I think some people are just more open to having the experience, and that's part of it. That's probably where a lot of psychic mediumship comes from.
I've heard about that. People having everything wiped from their all the equipment and stuff.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
Joshua, he brings up a very good point. 'Cause that they also erase photos. I have seen photos erased off multiple cameras.
that's interesting, right? Like
And
how is
two
that even?
two of us would get the same shot, take our cameras home, and yeah, how? There's no explanation.
No.
How do you lose
That's
two
why-
photos? I've seen photos on a computer disappear.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah,
But we've heard of that.
I know our friend Lynn Monet is author and hosts a show out there as well. I'm plugging everyone.
There you go.
And I know the people in the audience that we know Lynn Monet. She talked about her when she wrote her first book, which was about our house being haunted, that pages kept disappearing out of the book. The book itself disappeared and she had to rewrite it. It would just disappear off her hard drive. Really interesting. She had a hell of a time actually finishing the book. Remember
Yes.
that? Omnipresent. Yeah, it's that book.
That was very disturbing.
It's just a really spooky book.
It is.
Actually, we
And
read
it
that.
being based on true life story, it's yeah. She's been on our show.
Bob says I was at the Conjuring house in the middle bedroom. Upstairs had 4 cameras, which all had audio plus 2 audio recorders standalone. Got a great EVP, but only caught on 1 camera. Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
It happens. It's bizarre, but they can manipulate them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Bob's
Magnetic.
also got a point here on his next post.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, he believes in there's the human soul, and being a non-corporate being is basically electromagnetic, and that's what theory. That's what a ghost is. So if you're electromagnetic, you should be able to manipulate something in the electromagnetic spectrum. I mean, it'd probably be a very simple thing to erase something off of not a Polaroid. You can't do much with that. But if you just got a digital photo, taking it off a camera or taking anything off a computer or off a hard drive.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at it this way too. Like I think it has
At least
something to
that's
do
my theory anyway.
with their intent, because they can't possibly be computer programmers and make an application work, right? If you're running an app on your phone that is just a word bank and it's not hacked in any way, a real just straight up app, and it works. Like I always question them from the get-go because I'm like, how are they going to do that? It's not a simple contraption. They're going to go in somehow into the code and read it, and it must just be their intent,
Right.
because they work. Dowsing rods work. To be the most simple thing or the most complex, which is an interesting thing to think about with AI becoming what it is, and supercomputers and that sort of thing.
I'm under the theory with dowsing rods that if you're a guy a little bit gifted, I'm not saying a psychic, I'm just saying I'm talking about being slightly gifted, maybe more than the norm, you can concentrate hard enough and move the dowsing rod yourself.
Mm-hmm. Like a pendulum.
You may be 10, 15 feet away from the dowsing rods, but yeah, you can sit there and stare at it and concentrate on it and move the pendulum or the dowsing rod with your mind.
You are. I think it's really your subconscious that's answering.
I've seen that done.
You know, when you have those things that are you're physically holding, if it's a pendulum or it's like dowsing rods, they're more like your body is following what the messages are, even if you aren't aware of it. So it's more of a subconscious response. I think that's why those work.
Like a remote viewing is like
exactly right. And a lot of like psychic work is like that. It's like that first thing that comes into your head. You gotta leave it unfiltered. You can't think about it. Just say it. You'll probably say the right thing.
He brings up a good point because Wilson's loaded with
exactly.
magnets. Oh,
and
it's like we try to
don't
keep
put hard drives on it.
Right.
A magnet.
We wouldn't for that reason.
When I was in college, we had this young lady who was in the class, and of course, if y'all went to college, you remember, you got a lot of classes. You got to do term papers, and the college I went to, practically every class had a term paper every quarter. So sometimes you took 3 classes or you took 4, you had that many term papers to write. And this one girl kept writing a term paper over and over. She was a fast typist. But she'd put back then a floppy drive in her purse, and it would be erased the next day. Totally erased. She'd write it over again, stick it in her purse, go home, because nobody had home computers back then. You had to use the college computers.
Mm-hmm.
It was just day to day. It was completely erased. And finally, the tech guy in the computer room said, "Okay, empty your purse." And for some reason, she was carrying a big horseshoe magnet in her purse. She didn't even know it was in there.
That'll do it.
And what you do, put the floppy drives in her purse, and that horseshoe magnet completely erased her floppy disk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So magnets will erase a hard drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to work in computer support and tech support in the desktop, and we would call that an ID10T error.
The magnets.
Yeah.
You got a code
magnet
for
will
that.
wipe out your floppy drive. I remember people talking about those floppy disks and the magnets.
Yes, Kim. Interesting about the dowsing rods. I always wondered if a person could do that like telekinesis. And it's just like, I would think like Marilyn Bass's paintings or pour paintings as well. It's from your subconscious, like Chris said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a real good way.
Dowsing rods, they kind of act like an antenna. And if you're putting out any energy, we all do, all humans do. In fact, most animals do, just really small. That the antenna, i.e., dowsing rods or pendulum, can pick it up, and you can manipulate them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, magnetism is a pretty interesting force all around. I think it gives off EMF. Like we have a oh.
Yep. You had to pull props out.
I got a prop.
I'll be right with you. We have a skull that we bring with us. His name is Wilson, and it's after Wilson Castle, not Wilson the ball.
But yeah, it's a little of both.
Shipwrecked.
His first outing was a castle, a haunted castle in Vermont called Wilson Castle that we like a lot. It's really beautiful. If you're in that area, it's a place you want to check out. I know Bob's familiar with it.
Yeah.
So this skull is not just a toy skull. It's supposed to be for like a medical student because, skulls are so ridiculously expensive. Can't get a human skull like you used to.
Back in our day.
Back in our day when they were kind of cheap.
No.
Now they're thousands of dollars for a skull. But the skull is overloaded. Oh. Let me show you some of the insides of the skull. So it's got crystals crystals in there and some magnets, including a very high powered magnet that actually came with a warning if you have a pacemaker not to hold it near your chest and that kind of thing.
I'm laughing because when we first got this magnet and pulled Wilson out and everything and took it with us, I was freaking out because I'm like, I hope nobody has pacemakers.
I had told her this, and we were leading a group through Wilson Castle that night. We were kind of working there that night, and the she was all worked up about the skull the whole night.
Yeah.
I was going to kill one of the people that took with us on the tour. But we've got really interesting, creepy-ish stuff with the skull.
Being magnetism, being magnetized, you feel like the force would be lower.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So, and the planet, everything's magnetized.
And I think a lot of us know, but maybe not everybody. Magnets throw EMF, and of course you can't see that. But
Yeah, don't take his head off again; he'll fall over.
I know.
Right, let me see. I hope.
So you can see the thing going off, right? It's from the magnets themselves. They throw EMF.
Mm-hmm.
They're an EMF pump, but a silent pump. So that's part of it. The history of the skull and use with spiritual communications goes back further than we really recorded stuff, as far as we know. They found archaeologists have found evidence of this, meaning removing the head of the dead and separating it to talk to the skull, to communicate with the dead. Back to hunter-gatherer days, they see this. You see it in the Sumerians practice this.
Babylonians,
Göbekli Tepe. You saw it there too. And that other site it's a little larger. I can't think of the name of it.
Karen Tepe?
Yeah, it could be Karen Tepe. They actually found that where the skulls were buried separately, and at the writings that they find, because they do transcribe the cuneiform text of the Sumerians, actually they have rituals of the whole thing. And people call it necromancy, but it's essentially what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to talk to spirits. And it was just common practice, then it was accepted. They buried their dead underneath their homes. So if the oldest son in any given family, for instance, would be the one responsible for giving a not flowers, but prayers and taking care of the graves, and issues, I guess, were common enough that they wrote about it.
Yeah.
And they would dig up, Uncle Joe, and
it was the grandfather, it was generational.
Literally take his skull and put it on what was their kitchen table.
Oh, they had to set a place for them too, as well.
And they talked to it. They talked to the skull.
Yep.
So yeah, that's why. So you think about it as a sort of vessel. Maybe it's a more comfortable vessel. It's kind of fun thing to take around.
Oh, we're talking about magnetism.
We lost.
And Josh was even saying energy can also be magnetic itself to object Earth. There, I'm back. The Earth has its own magnetic field because of the iron core of the planet. Mm-hmm. I say the Earth, has magnetic field. That's why we can't live on the moon. Not only no atmosphere. The reason it's got no atmosphere, it's got no magnetic field to protect us from the sun's pressure, the solar wind, the radioactivity, the radiation. You can't live on Mars. That's why Elon Musk. I'm afraid Elon Musk is going to kill his first astronauts going to Mars because they're limited. That's why we can't send the same crew back and forth to the space because they get a certain amount of radiation.
This could happen.
And a trip one way to Mars, and their NASA limits for receiving solar and interstellar radiation, to say nothing of being on Mars.
Right.
And the trip, but they're just way over. And we're way over specs for NASA.
All those things are within the
Mars, for some reason, used to have a magnetic field, and now it doesn't. And they're trying to figure out how to do a magnetic field officially. And Elon Musk before he sends people to Mars, needs to conquer that thing and how to generate a magnetic field around their ship.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. We
Right.
never lived past the belt. No. The
Or their
Yeah.
trip should be one way.
that
Yeah, it very easily could.
I
It's
thought
interesting that
everyone was going to be one way.
we haven't been back to the moon, but I guess we're planning another moon trip. Moon's kind of interesting too.
Hi, Linda.
Yeah, we're planning some more moonshots.
Yes. Yeah, I love your Alien T-shirt. So we binge watched the Alien movies, all of them,
All
this
last
past weekend, and that's why I have this shirt on.
It's got the cat,
And-
Jonesy.
And there's Jonesy, the cat. And I bought the shirt. I had forgotten in the original Aliens that there was a cat because I hadn't seen it in so long. And
Why'd you buy the shirt, Chris?
Because I have a cat that looks a little like this one, who just coincidentally looks like the cat in Alien.
Jonesy.
Jonesy.
Yep.
Yeah, my cat looks just like that cat.
We were like, oh, wow, there's a cat on the
There really
ship.
is a cat.
Oh,
I thought it was just cute. I
shirt.
thought, well, aliens eat cats, and it's just like, didn't you know? But, apparently they do. Great series. Last two installments there
And,
were good. Go ahead. Sorry.
Josh was bringing up another point. Magnetics are the key to the future, and if that's our first step, is to fully conquer and use magnetism up to its maximum amount, and then the next thing will be we are slowly proving gravity waves exist. We just got to figure out a way to harness them. If we can harness magnetism and harness gravity, we are a spacefaring race, and quite literally the sky is the limit. Our trouble is living through the next century.
Right.
Because I don't know about y'all, but I kind of watch current news, and we are a machine gun burst away from fighting World War III in Syria, Ukraine, Iran, Taiwan, and Korea. And we've got the strongest military in the world by a long shot, but we can't fight a conventional war on 4 or 5 fronts. We can't do it. We just don't have the people.
Nope.
China's got a bigger navy than we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's bombs that make it not matter.
You know, the best in the world.
We don't know who's got what, really.
Yeah.
You know.
It is scary.
Yeah,
That's
a
very
scary
thought.
Wrong person in charge could just, get their finger on that trigger, and it's all done anyways. Often not.
We should go to Mars, but
I'll have to go to Mars though.
Look at the unrest in Russia right now.
It's really bad. Everything over there is just with the Ukraine and everything, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And it's just really bad. And then again, it's this now there's this China and Taiwan thing and a base over there that we have, and they're doing flybys and things and get the hell out of our area. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy world for sure. And it's always been a little crazy. I mean, the Middle Ages are crazy, right?
I think my ancestors.
Middle Ages were crazy. I mean, the Cold War back in the 60s is crazy. I don't know if y'all were old enough to remember, but I remember in elementary school in the 60s and holding fallout and nuclear weapons drills by hiding under a desk for a few minutes.
That's nuts. That's so traumatizing too.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing to do. Had to do it.
And this is 5, 6, and 7-year-olds realizing enough about nuclear war that we're supposed to hide under a desk, which of course you're under a desk made of pressboard. That's not going to help you much if a nuclear bomb hits within 25, 30 miles of you. You're still just a bunch of angry atoms floating around.
Yeah. It goes to 100 miles, I believe. The fallout itself.
Somebody
but
mentioned that the Euphrates River is
depending on
dried
the
up.
size, but 100 miles you just get irradiated, and you're probably going to die of radiation poisoning.
So I was talking about
You're
the death.
vaporized. If you're within 5 to 8, anything much less than 10 miles, you're vaporized.
It's just awful
Yeah.
thing to think about.
Yeah. No more ghost hunting. You are the ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hate that term, ghost hunting, by the way. I'm
Yes,
just going to
we
put that
do.
out there.
You're not,
You're not hunting ghosts.
no.
I even tend to use it, get mad at myself when I say it.
Yeah, I do too. It's upsetting
But
sometimes.
sometimes when somebody asks, what do you do? I say paranormal investigator. They don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
I look at phenomena that's unexplainable. It's what?
Yeah, phenomenology.
Phenomenology.
So
Yes, it.
I just say I'm a ghost hunter because I live in Arkansas. Any word more than about 7 or 8 letters is going to go over everybody's head down here.
Ironic with a state name, Arkansas.
Right?
My wife and I, yeah.
Right. So it's a pretty long word.
Well, I'm not from here. I'm from Georgia. My wife's from Chicago, and I have one, two. I have 3 associate's degrees and a bachelor's degree. My wife has a bachelor's degree from the University of Chicago. It's an Ivy League school practically, and we are known in this county. People come to us asking us questions.
Oh,
That's good.
yeah.
You're the smart guy in the room. That's where you want to be. Used to hide under our desk for safety. Bob also dealt with some of that. I remember seeing video of that.
Yeah.
They didn't have it in our time, but I've definitely heard of it. Yeah, people don't know. Like, think about World War II, right? Different technology altogether, or not even pre-atomic War II, where like people in England in any city and around London, they have to turn all the lights out. The bombers were flying over, and they might see you better if you had your light on to be able to find the cities easier because we didn't have the tech, or they didn't have the tech. Nobody had
Like
the tech.
drones or
Like we do now. We didn't have GPS. They had to see the lights of the city at night, right? They dropped the bomb, so everybody shut their lights out. Just living through that kind of fear. Like, I got to turn off every light in my dwelling because they're trying to drop a bomb on me tonight. What that must be like, right? It's really going to be tough to live with.
And now what we got to fear is cruise missiles launched from aircraft out over the Atlantic or out the Gulf of Mexico in international waters, or launched from a submarine in international waters. Where we've only got about 2 minutes lead time, so we barely got time to kiss that significant other.
We got all this, right. We got all this AI tech and stuff. You think they would do that first, like the timing and stuff, before they go on and do something different, like a super soldier, whatever they're making.
Yeah, definitely making those.
Yeah. Get me started with this stuff.
That's what that.
Okay, ask interesting question. What's the relationship between gravity and static?
Static is electricity. Gravity is its own force.
Yeah.
So it's not EMF, and it's not really like a light form, right? But it may move in waves, as you said.
Right.
And Joshua says, of course, astronauts have some guts. To answer Linda's question, the Euphrates River, I believe, is in Iraq. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, it goes into...
From my geography lessons?
Yeah, it goes into like the 3 different places, I think, over there. But yes, it is there.
Yeah. Linda wrote that from Google, gravity causes...
What is it, the Tigris? The Tigris and Euphrates?
Yes.
We have a delay, guys, so...
Sorry about that.
No,
we're trying not to talk over Len, but we have a delay. So,
yeah, that's an interesting comment. I've read that too.
Right, there's a little bit of delay here.
So there may be a relationship between static.
Yeah, if you study space a little bit, there may be a relationship there, but especially gravity and light. Uh, Light will bend over a high gravity period, and it is traveling through space, which you think is empty. But if it passes close enough to a star, you can see a slight bend in the light to the gravity, especially a very large star, like say Betelgeuse.
Yeah, that one.
And you can see the light bend around it. That, of course, there's
Right.
another thing too. Some people say it's already exploded. It's just going to take a few years for the results of it to get here. That's something humanity may have to live with this century or the next. Is an explosion of Betelgeuse,
Yeah,
and you got to wonder just how much radiation we're going to get.
exactly. Because if it, I wondered how they knew it didn't explode yet. I mean, everything's like so many light years away, and it takes that many years to get here to Earth. How do they know Betelgeuse didn't explode already? That's something they should be like telling us now, or figuring out or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
it could have exploded 5 or 6 years ago, and it's going to be several more years before we know.
Exactly. Like, how do they not know? So to come out with that, and say, oh, it didn't explode yet or whatever. It's like, how do you know that? You don't know. Avoid space, I
Yeah,
believe.
because everything's traveling at us at the speed of light. So, have you got any? Wait a minute. It's halftime. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. We didn't know you had to have.
I'm goofing off. It is halftime.
All right.
Yes, I have a halftime.
Get the
I'm like a
chips, babe.
football game. There's a halftime. So we got about get the chips, get the chicken wings. Let's look at some cheerleader videos or maybe a band marching across the screen. All jokes aside, but let's go again. Where people can find you on the internet?
They can find us on Facebook, on YouTube. We do have a website, darkhorseparanormal.com, but it's out of date. Our best places are probably, our Facebook and YouTube is where you want to find us. You can look for Dark Horse Paranormal Productions, or look up Bigfoot and the Bunny.
And the bunny.
And the Bunny would be a very short show. And, same with YouTube, Dark Horse Paranormal Productions. Our YouTube has both of the shows on there, and as well as shows our friends put up, including this one.
Okay, because I wanted to get that in so everybody can pick up, where they can get in touch with you. Because I think you're two very outstanding people, and people are going to want to look you up and know where you are. So I want to be sure and get that in.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And a little bit more into our halftime here. I do a little work with I'm getting some really
Thanks, guys. Carol says, not in the bunny.
I know. Are we still?
I think we are live. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, you're still on.
Okay. I'm not sure what halftime is.
I'm just pushing buttons and nothing's happening. I'm pushing buttons and nothing's happening. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I do.
Still struggling. Oh, there it is.
Shit.
There we go. Damon Orwell and Expedition Entity on Paraflix.
Broadhead Manor. Yes.
Yes. I know those people.
Great people up there.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. We love Love those guys.
Yeah, shadow hunters.
Yeah, man,
Shadow
Greg
hunters.
Koss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A bunch of great guys.
Yeah, great people. Oh yeah, I see Greg Bakun. Greg Koss. Oh yeah, that's the one Greg was talking about.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, looks great.
So I've actually had Dan Norville on the show a couple of times. He is some really great people.
Absolutely. If we were a little closer, we'd be there.
Yeah.
We'd definitely be there. I mean that.
We've been debating this one back and forth.
Yeah, it's going to be a road trip for us at some point.
Big road trip for us.
All right, let's.
Long, I should say.
Is that it? Was that the halftime?
Yep, that's halftime.
All right. I didn't know if we like took 5, and I didn't know how it worked. Sorry.
I normally, if people send me videos, be 10 or 15 seconds behind everybody. My internet is slow that I can't even crawl my slide.
That's all right. You want us to play a couple more clips?
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
All right. I see one here. And it says, I see the beginning of the word Anawan. So it has to do with Anawan Rock. And I think it is that Chief Anawan one. So Chief Anawan is, he surrendered the King Philip's War, which is a Native American versus white man war. It's the bloodiest battle ever fought in America per capita. More people died in this thing. Actually started in your hometown, Swansea.
Yes.
So, and it's spread out through the area. It's one of the reasons why they say the Bridgewater Triangle is haunted, is this war, and there's so much bloodshed, and so that the area may be cursed. So this, anyways, we were at Anawan Rock, is this large, giant rock, really, that he was behind when he surrendered. And
Who was captured here? Who was captured here?
So
yeah, so it's a long kind of sentence in there, but it's all the words are related.
Yeah, you should get back Chief Anawan.
Chief Anawan.
You traitor. And then, well, after Chris says something, it says, you win.
You win.
And it was all just like.
And he was actually viewed
It's
as
not
a
coincidental.
as a kind of a traitor by a lot of people, that he had kind of surrendered, and he actually had dinner with his captor, him and his party, behind that rock. So yeah, a very interesting part of that Native American history part. We could tell him about the Believe. I can see that one.
Oh yeah.
We went to this burial ground. It's a cemetery, and it's in Grafton, Massachusetts, which went by a different name further back in Massachusetts history, and it was a prayer town or praying town, And that's where they would try to convert the natives from their indigenous religion to Christianity. So we were at this burial ground, and when I say loosely a burial ground, it's only because they had like headstones that were basically big rocks, but yet it was in the town. It wasn't a burial mound per se, like their their cousins were generally brothers and sisters.
They built a road through it, so they just took bodies and just like flung them in there and just put like stones there. That's basically what they did, and then had a big stone with a plaque engraved.
Right. So we're in the thing, and I just got you a T-shirt at a metaphysical show that we had been at the day before. I think it was the day or the week, and the shirt says "Believe" across it. That's all it says. It's "Believe." So here's the clip. You'll understand.
You know what my shirt says? You know what my shirt says?
It says "Believe" twice. Right back
Yeah.
at her. So yeah, that was pretty interesting, and that's the shirt she had on. Cool stuff. So that was how we got away from the Evil AM band. Really, it's got into Native American hauntings because of history. It's really fascinating. All that stuff happened here in New England. Bob says, I was at a graveyard in Abington, Massachusetts, and was off on my own, and I farted since I was alone. Later at home, going over the recordings, I caught an Indian responding to me farting. He was saying an Indian word, but it was clear from his voice he was saying, "You dirty bastards."
But you're gonna have so much fun when we go out with them.
Yeah, that's good, Bob.
Well, I mean, if you break out a blazing saddles routine in a cemetery, somebody's going to say something about it.
Right?
Oh, super funny. That's the thing, Linda, with that. We were wondering if it was an EVP, but we do think the second "Believe" is on the box. That's the spirit box that we have running. So.
Yeah, and we slowed it down. It really does say "Believe," and yeah, it's crazy. That was the shirt she had on.
That's the second one that we had a thing where we were like, if it said "Believe," like an EVP or on the box.
Yeah, I get that sometimes. I'm sure you know what we're talking about, Len, when we say, you get a recording if you're recording a spirit box and you'll hear something that's not even on the radio coming through that's like an EVP. So that's a place where the spirit box is getting in the way,
One thing I've got once, I did not hear. I heard something with my ear coming out, but he had to get it home and listen. She's wearing a blonde hat, which you got to wonder what does that mean. And a female voice come on and said, "What?" Male voice come back and said she's wearing a blonde hat, and both voices started laughing and went away. Which I wondered what it meant. Then I got to looking, and we were at an old house foundation. And at the time that people were living there, the English language hadn't developed the word wig yet. And when you had a hairpiece on, they called it a hat.
Uh-huh.
A lady that was with me, she had a full head of hair, but she liked to wear long blonde wigs. So they were talking about the lady who was with me.
Saying blonde hat.
Blonde hat.
Oh, use an echo box. Blonde
That's
hat.
cool.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That was on an echo.
It was unclear with headsets. Yes.
So do you like that application as far as applications go? That's one that we like too.
I have picked up some amazing. I've picked up some amazing things. I've had people hold up an object and say, "What color is this?" and they name the color.
Wow,
Jeepers, yeah.
that's wild.
I was in my old neighbor's yard back just before we moved to Chicago. In fact, it was the neighbors we sold our house to, and we were just doing an Echo Vox session in their backyard, and they were Latinos, and we got a Spanish speaker. So I told the lady of the house, the wife, to ask what a visitor, because we had a couple of guests, one of the visitors, what their shirt said. Now I could not pre-program this because I can only read very few words in Spanish, and it was dark. I couldn't really see the words, and probably could not have read them anyway. So she asked in Spanish what the shirt said. Could you read it for me, please? And a voice came over the Echo Vox in Spanish, read word for word what the T-shirt said.
Oh, wow. Jeepers.
Yeah.
The lady who read it almost fell out of her chair in shock. We had to run to the front gate and stop the guy wearing the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And in the session, it startled him that much because he knew, of course, what his T-shirt said, and to hear it being read over an Echo Vox was almost more than he could stand.
Right?
A lot of people are going to be like
That is
Yeah.
the thing. If you do this stuff long enough, something happens, and then physics go out the window, and it does kind of make your brain go, wonder, did I really see that? We've had some existential crisis just trying to deal with some of this stuff.
That's actually true. Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, I wonder about the nature of reality at that point. Like, well, okay, that can happen, and what can't happen, right? And
we don't know yet.
Being also on the other side of the microphone and getting to talk to so many people, it's a great gift. Is like talking to other people and understanding what their experiences are like, and it's given us such a broad spectrum of things that I really don't question the authenticity of a lot of the people, like the UFO folk that we talked to, all that much, because if they had the experience, they had the experience. We had experiences growing up, Kristen, with the shadow people. I had a thing with clowns. It was unbelievable. It doesn't make sense, but it happened. That's what we remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did the shirt say?
You have a thing. You have a clown thing.
Yeah. So when I was a little kid, not far from here, actually, about a half mile from where we are right now, I lived in a house. My parents, obviously, as a little kid, I was in preschool. There isn't a lot I remember from that time, but certain things really stand out, including this whole thing with these clowns we had. They were Steiff clowns. They were made by a company called Steiff. They were famous for making teddy bears. They made the original teddy bear for Teddy Roosevelt, named after Teddy Roosevelt. There's a company from Germany, and their stuff was like all handcrafted. And that, they had like a cloth and a wire body inside, a balsa wood head that was like hand painted. It was really nicely done. I had two of them. One I could hold in my arms like that. That was much smaller than two. And the other was actually a little taller than I was. And they used to scare the shit out of me all the time as a kid. The larger one was always plotting to murder my parents. And the smaller one was kind of like a spy. He would tell me the plans of the big one, which is just a terrible thing to remember. And the little one would be like, tonight's the night. I think it's going to do it tonight. And I just couldn't stop him. He would just like come to life and then fly out the door with like a knife. And I remember like seeing this stuff. And it's pretty creepy.
But he doesn't have clownophobia now.
Yeah,
that's
clownophobia.
the
It's not actually called
that.
clownophobia.
No, but I forgot the name of the term. Sorry, guys.
That's what we call it. We call it clownophobia.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you'd think I'd be scared of clowns, but I'm not.
No.
And I'm not saying the balsa wood would actually crack and things would come out, but it's just what I remember. The thing would be intact the next day, and I don't really know what happened to them. The last memory I have of it is attacking the big clown and eventually killing it and burying it in the yard, getting a shovel out of the garage and burying it in the side yard. We had a little lot, and that seems like a lot for a little kid to do. So I don't know. That's what I remember, and the dolls were gone. I don't know what happened to them, and I lost my mother quite a while ago, so I was able to ask her.
Oh, to go back a few minutes and to answer Linda's question, what did the shirt say? I don't remember. This was 7.5, working on 8 years ago, but it was just a simple Spanish saying, a man making a comment about a woman, anybody want to date, or something like in that line in Spanish.
Oh.
It was just a word talking about women that a single guy would have on a shirt. It wasn't a curse word or movie saying. It was just saying that a guy would say, when he walks into a room full of women. Anybody want to go out or something like that? It's kind of a question. Or anybody want to go out? He's available. Something similar to that.
Like a pun. We get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a kind of, not a dirty expression, kind of a humorous expression. But the fact that it was read word for word shocked everybody.
That's crazy.
In fact, the husband asked me just before that. He said, "Is this recorded?" He thought we were listening to a recorded thing just for entertainment purposes. I said, "No, this is live."
I think anybody would have been taken aback by that.
I had somebody. Yes. I was at Bachelor's Grove once on the Echo Vox, and a group of very young people. These were 17, 18-year-olds. And we were asking a few questions, and they were answering. We were interactive. And a guy was there with his date, and he asked what color shirt somebody had on. He got answered. So he pointed to his girlfriend and said, "What color bra is she wearing?" Which was something only he and her knew the answer to. And neither one of them divulged it. I could not have recorded this because, of course, I had no idea. I'd never seen this young lady before, and I sure didn't know what color bra she had on.
Right.
Immediately, the right color came out, and we were about to have to chase that girl down. Because she knew only two of them knew what color bra she had on, and the ghost we were talking to.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very intelligent.
It's weird how they can just know that too, right? It's
Yeah.
just so strange.
Yes.
But they do. And they know your name, and then they just know stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I've been in a room and rather than saying my name's Len Dorman and this is whoever that was in the room with me, I would say, "Hello, you know my name and you know their name. Can you repeat it for us, please?" And the next thing you know, my name comes out and so does their name, and we haven't spoken our names.
Right.
Right.
We understand that. We don't. A lot of times we don't even introduce ourselves. We do give offerings first. We don't say who we are though, because of this. And where we go, we try to see. And you'll hear us a lot when we're out in the field. You hear us. Do you know his name? Do you know her name? And that's why.
Yeah. And I agree with the Echo Box. I think that's a pretty good one. There's some we like and some we don't. This is an app Kristen was using, and she asks who's buried here, and then it says my name.
Who's buried in here? What are your names? Who's buried in here? What are your names?
It's pretty clear, right? How did it get that? You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking because I don't have him in like my phone as Chris Carr, so I don't know how they'd get that.
Yeah,
Like
it was weird.
the application itself.
Another spooky day that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And by the way, I'll tell you and everybody else. I started a new show. Now it's not on WLFE, so I don't say too much about that. But it's on my YouTube and Facebook channels on Tuesday nights. I had a friend of mine that used to do ghost box sessions on Wednesday nights, and he is of the belief that he's talking to ETs, not ghosts. So I have no ET experiences, and if he thinks he's talking to ET, I'm not arguing with him, if that's what he wants to do. But I want to sit there and talk to spirits. So
Right. We all have.
he said go somewhere else if you want to talk to ghosts. So I thought, oh. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what
Exactly.
Chris was saying
We
earlier.
all have our little things.
Right.
So at 11 o'clock Central, I'm firing up. I'll fire up a ghost box for a little while. If I'm not getting anything, I'll go to the Echo Box with it set up in my living room, because this is old Native American grounds. This is not that old a house. It was built in '85. Nobody died here, so it's not haunted by your previous owners, because we're second owner. But we do have several walkthroughs. We have my biological father walk through. We have my wife's parents, and sometimes our grandparents walk through. Some of the walkthroughs, one guy we think is a hunter. We have not defined exactly what year he is, because he won't talk. It may be a residual. He will not interact. But we know he smokes. But a lot of you Native Americans, so it could be somebody a Native American walking through, or it could be some just a couple of decades before. This was all woods before this house was built. This may have been somebody's hunting ground, be it Native American or more modern white man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. There may be prehistory we don't even know about. There could have been other civilizations living here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we believe that. It's very possible. History has changed so many times, and just in our own lifetime, of what they said when we were kids as opposed to what they say now, and what we've been able to prove over time. You know, it's so much different. They even do math differently now in school. It's so strange. So, I mean, who knows what we'll know, in 50 or 100 years that we don't know now.
Right.
They accept it as common knowledge,
Right. And we don't know who was living in the space we're in right now. All I know is that I live on top of a hill that's part of a series of hills, very close to the Bartholomew Bayou, which is the longest bayou in the world. And the reason it's so long, 25,000 years ago, is where the Arkansas River flowed.
Mm-hmm.
So 25,000 years ago, this hill may have been here, but it was also a quarter of a mile away from what we would later on call the Arkansas River. It also got a stream here running into a man-made lake. That's how they made the man-made lake. It connects to a bayou and Cane Creek.
Right.
Yeah.
It's energy in that
And
water.
you know yourself that if there was water around the Native Americans, and the lake might not have been here, but when you've got a really good-sized creek and the longest bayou on the planet, with them going up and down that bayou with canoes and doing their own trading, and then later on are the steamboats.
For sure.
There's no telling what's around here.
That's so true.
Yep. It is the place to gravitate to.
What does this say?
Josh
I'm
was
not
saying,
wearing my glasses. Peace pipe, I feel on the location, but the negative energy, the animals being slaughtered on that location. Uh, I can believe that at this location. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Uh, this is a big deer area, and in fact, a couple of nights ago, uh, I saw there was a deer right out just a few feet behind my car, parked in the carport, eating a little bit of grass that would have looked me in the eye. He was so tall.
Wow. It was a buck.
This was a major league deer. Look at, I thought it was a person standing in my driveway.
Oh
wow.
my God.
As an outside light came up, but I realized this was a big deer, and he stared at me for a while, went back to eating grass, and finally turned and walked away into the darkness at just a slow walk. He didn't have that much fear of me at all.
It's interesting.
Well,
Hmm.
that's an interesting experience. Bob says, sounds like a moose.
So there's still deer here in this area.
All right. Well, there's more dead people than living people too, right?
I could see the deer. It was a deer, not a moose. I finally got enough light on it to tell the difference. And so the light came up slowly after I turned it on from an old-fashioned street light. Where it took about 2 or 3 minutes for the light to come up. So I could tell it wasn't a human being. And I said, what is that? And that I looked, I thought about being a moose because of where the eyes were. But it was just a really big buck. A moose here, I'd have had to have gotten some pictures because there's very few moose here in the southeast corner of Arkansas. Now you go to the north of Arkansas, and you will run into some moose and elk. Now, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between an elk and a deer in the dark. So,
Yeah.
again, if that was an elk, that'd be a shocker here. But that would be possible.
You must have Bigfoot out there.
Yeah.
You must have probably some interesting other
Bigfoot.
critters.
With the lake here and a lot of woods and farmland, it'd be kind of hard to have a Bigfoot here because he'd be constantly messing up somebody's fields. They wouldn't have a big, for an animal that big, a really big cryptid, be kind of hard for them to live without the farmers seeing him all the time or having damage to their crops.
Maybe that's where crop circles come from.
Bigfoot. Big.
I guess we have Shannon. Is he saying goodnight to somebody or is leaving us?
Sharon. Yeah, I think she's
It's
leaving.
getting a little bit late.
It is. Well, good night.
Good night, Sharon. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot
Bob's
of
saying he's from Maine. He has a lot of moose. Yes, a lot of moose in Maine. So I've heard. I've never been to Maine. So I'll have to take Linda brought up.
That's an interesting explanation,
No,
Linda.
so
That was the question that was up earlier. It said, what is the difference between a ghost and a spirit?
Mm.
So that's a interesting response, Linda. Only thing I would say to that is, like, what do you call a residual energy, right? Is that really, does that need its own category? It's not a spirit. Is it a ghost? It's not intelligent. It's just a residual. Where does that lie?
Right.
Well, my opinion, a residual is an energy that's left over. It could be in the ground. It could be on stone. It could be, especially granite or some a form of rock that can hold energy. There a lot of residual is just that. The residual here, it may be uh, just excess energy in the ground itself.
Yeah, a lot of people say crystals are like that. They're like recorders, just recording the energy.
Mm.
And let's see, Bob's bringing up: do all animals turn to spirit? Uh, so there's videos occasionally on YouTube where you see a mouse or a rat trapped into a get killed in a trap that they've got with got a camera on it, and something white floats out of it.
Wow.
So that's a question: is that the spirit of the animal?
Mhm.
Come out.
The consciousness.
The Native Americans certainly believed in spirit animals.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Animism. We believe in animism. We think that the consciousness itself has some sort of weight, and whether a ghost cat, will always be a ghost cat. I don't know. I think we've had pets that passed. We had Freddie, our cat, that died kind of horrifically in front of me. That cat seemed to be around for like the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Had
really weird.
made
So I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, we eat animals. Where's the ghosts of the chickens, right? I mean,
Could be everywhere.
yeah.
They had
I mean,
consciousness.
it's some kind of consciousness there.
Do we really know? Mhm. We really know anything in this field? Do we know positively who we talk to over an Echo Box or Ghost Box?
No, we do not.
We do. Of course
What
not.
are we really hearing? We can't prove it.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
That's right.
We don't know if it's
All
could
we
be
can
some-
do is do research and show people what we have.
Absolutely. Imagine like a foreign thing that could read your thoughts, could create itself to be, something that you would respond to, like, some sort of like relative or a little girl in the cemetery, little boy, that kind of thing. Those roles,
Exactly. Step in the rules.
it's scary, right? When you really think about it. It's a
Well,
little scary.
we've got a ghost cat. Occasionally, we feel the cat jumping onto the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah. We
At
believe
night.
it.
Both my wife and I have on separate occasions.
Yeah.
So,
Same
so
thing.
I'm a believer in cats do have spirits. And Joshua says he has several ghost cats. So we're on kind of a common subject here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carol
Yeah.
says I can see my dog and cat still in my house. Sometimes they have both been passed for years.
Right. Right.
Mm.
We love the concept of ghosts and of our pets and any loved one, of course, right? But then when we start to talk about the food supply,
Yeah.
it gets a little weird and you get into some kind of shaky ground. But it is something to think about. I don't know.
I have something about that. I'm going to see now that you just said that. Don't the who does it? The Jewish, don't they bless the cows or whatever it is before they get
Kosher.
slaughtered? Yes.
Yeah,
thank you,
yeah.
kosher.
Yeah, they do.
So
Which
there you go.
is a good thing to do. Like I've talked about with you, and we do sometimes together. Is like actually thank the creature that gave us the food, and just even if it's mental, and you just take a moment to just have a moment of gratitude, just to acknowledge that this was a creature and it gave its life, and you're eating it, and it's keeping us alive. I swear it makes the food taste better. It just somehow
You feel better.
I feel better.
But they should still have whether we kill them or not ourselves, whoever, they still hold a consciousness, which is probably going to be around or wherever.
That's right.
Yeah.
Consciousness can pervade all matter, and that's what panpsychism is about.
Right.
Animism, really. the end of the day. Animism is given a spirit to, inanimate things or plants and all
Rocks.
creatures. And yeah, it could be a mountain, spirit of the north and all that stuff, which we believe in. But there's also panpsychism, which just goes on to say that it's the matter, consciousness can just pervade any matter. Doesn't matter. Did I say that right? Probably not. I mess it up a lot. And it's late. Sorry.
So we got a pretty good discussion going on in the chat room right now, and I'm loving it.
Fantastic. These are great people here.
Yeah, they are.
And thank you guys for staying up with us.
Yes,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I especially thank you because I'm not used to people being up this late.
We're night owls.
Yes.
I told you last week.
A lot of paranormal people get that way, especially when you're retired like I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's less, less noisier at night.
Yeah, I end up turning my schedule back. And weekends, we let it drift. And
I meant when we go on paranormal investigations.
Monday comes around, I'm like,
elaborated on that one.
Yeah. So
I think that's why a lot of us are up in we're all like, some of us are investigators, so it's like we're like a creature of habit ourselves. So
yeah, when you get tired, like my wife and I, time of day doesn't mean anything. She gets up in the morning. She loves to watch Opening Bell for the stock market. She'll watch that, maybe eat breakfast and go down and take about 2-3 hour nap. And that's just about her daily routine.
Naps are a good thing. There's nothing wrong with a nap. Cat nap.
I don't have a routine. I don't have a routine. When I get sleepy, I go to sleep.
Exactly.
Sometimes I start counting. I say, "Wait a minute! I have been up for 30 hours now," and then I'll lay down. And maybe I'll sleep 15. Then the next 3 days, I might sleep 2 or 3 hours a day. No schedule. The only thing I got to worry about is somebody got to come by and fix something. Like we just had a dishwasher worked on. He come by at 1:30 in the afternoon. All I had to do is be awake at 1:30 in the afternoon to answer the door.
Yeah, we understand.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad you can do that. I unfortunately do have to work tomorrow.
Yeah. But on the weekends, I'm saying we're still back.
But we're not there yet. It's only
Thursday.
One more day.
Do you hear what's good?
Well, we have you got any more soundtracks you'd like to play for us, or are you hinting that you need to go to bed?
Relatively soon wouldn't be bad. We don't have to right off. Let me see what I've got. I'll take a look. I do apologize for not having this all set up for you. I realized as we were playing through some of it that it wasn't set up quite the way I thought it was. Well, that Raven's a Lament.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to break a sweat in here.
Are you? I'll play this as kind of part of that Evil AM band. And
Yes.
It says, "It speaks Ravens and Lament," which it was lament, meant something in the conversation we had been having with it.
Yeah.
Ravens are a harbinger of doom, classically. So.
No, we have to go through that clip.
I don't know. So that was one. That whole It Speaks thing. We have a podcast that makes sense of those clips and more. That's just audio only. If you're a podcaster, you can look up Dark Horse Paranormal on your podcast outlet. you'll get some stuff back that isn't our live show. Some of it we produce with like sound effects and music and all that kind of stuff. Lots of history, Native American hauntings.
That took us a really long time to
That's a good one.
yeah, to research and everything. So we did good with that.
A lot of whistle tones, a very high
Okay.
frequency, yeah.
So that was one
And
of
there's actual whistle like
yeah.
that wasn't in that.
That was one of the things I was thinking, because when this was happening and listening to this at the same time, at that moment, I'm going, I can hear these tones. And then I had like just before that had felt like this is silly, like an ET presence, like there's an alien presence besides the spirits. So, and then as we kept going, I'm like, and then it says hybrids after that.
Oh, I've got that one.
You do have hybrids.
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, good.
This is hybrids.
You guys are the chaotic energy that's going on.
Oh, that's
Let
not
us
hybrids.
not
help you
hybrids.
speak.
Oh, never mind. It's labeled wrong.
Turned down.
That was the one we did before. I did turn it down.
The chaotic energy.
The chaotic energy one. Yeah, that was supposed to be hybrids.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, but they did. Listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
You got it right.
it's insane. I really did think that there were also aliens, and that's where
Yeah.
the high tones were coming in, and the frequencies and things. So,
Yeah, we wonder about these non-human entities.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we could talk about that if you want to wrap up with that. Like, what are non-human entities? What are aliens? What are fairies? You know, fairies are really interesting. The
yes.
fairies were, to say medieval witches, what the devil was before they started putting, they met up and conjugated with the devil. They were conjugating with fairies,
Yes.
that sort of thing.
That was the name back then before
And
Christianity stepped
it
in.
would come back, right? In places like Ireland, where they'll build roads around trees and bushes and, well, not trees necessarily, but mounds, fairy mounds,
Mhm.
as to not disturb them. They take them seriously. I mean, they did that up until like the 1950s. So there's got to be something to it. I think that there is some sort of tie-in with that, with what some people, are calling abduction experiences. I think some of those things may be terrestrial in nature. What do you think, Len?
Of course, I can't prove anything. I'm open to any kind of theories, because that's all we got is theory.
So we got
These could be aliens. This coming from a person who has absolutely no UFO experiences whatsoever. I've never seen something I could not identify. Of course, I had a little bit of training as a kid as astronomy. I was a member of an astronomy club, and I can explain. Of course, I used to also be in a bank club, so I can explain most things in a bank. I had a horrible childhood, just learning everything I could. But Linda's got a good question. For anyone, do you get a feeling in your body, maybe in the heart area, of a presence when you hear EVP? And I would have to say sometimes, not all the time. How about you two?
It's a strange question. When I hear an EVP, like most times we don't hear any EVPs in real time.
Right.
Aside from maybe a slight whisper and not really knowing what it was. But I guess the reverse was the hello that we had at Spider Gates. That was just crazy.
Shocking.
Yeah, and that's not on. Is that an EVP? It's not recorded. We heard. I mean, that certainly gave us a jolt, but I don't know. Playing them back doesn't necessarily affect our hearts. I've seen 3 shadow people. So shadow people are pretty interesting, right? Like, what are they?
They're wicked interesting.
What are they in nature?
Yes.
Are they trying to come through, and are they not able to present?
Is there a difference?
Right. They have a very bad reputation, and rightfully so.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I've seen semi apparitions. I've seen almost something human shape floating in the air that's just disturbing the air a little bit. I've seen full-bodied apparitions, and I've seen shadow people. Is there a difference? Is there a difference in attitude, or is there a difference in what they are? I don't know.
Difference in energy, maybe.
Difference in energy.
Like as far as like a strength of it, so it's not just a voice you don't hear in real time. It's an actual thing you see.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can read our names and know things about us,
yeah.
And what you think they would know? They would scary looking as a shadow person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thought. I don't know.
Right. And I've seen. What about the size of shadow beings? Well, there's one hanging around Bachelor's Grove that people think it was the old Undertaker, who was a tall gentleman over 6 foot. And some people see, and I have seen glimpses of a very tall, over 6 foot shadow figure.
Mm-hmm. And you think that's him?
But at other locations, yeah, I believe it is. At 2 other because he's standing outside the cemetery. Just look, he doesn't catch you or attempt to scare you. He's just standing there, and you just got to look in the right spot.
Okay.
And of course, he changes locations, but just watching to see if you're going to desecrate the cemetery or what you're doing. And usually he figures out what you're doing or why you're there, and he disappears. But at other locations, I've seen shadow figures 2.5, 3 feet tall, running around like a child, even though on a ghost box or whatever we were using, we were talking to an adult. Now, were we seeing a child moving around, or was the shadow figure appearing just small? One location was a form of mop pig water, and there was no known children there. This was not a child-oriented place. This was where my people were killed and lived and worked. And we had the descendant of the person, the mob figure who ran the place, standing there, and we saw about a 3-foot shadow figure, not running, but walking back and forth. And I got this on video somewhere. I cannot find that video, but I had small lights, just a single LED with an antenna that acts like some of your meters going around. If they actually touch the antenna, the light would go off. And so I had several of these lights lined up in the room, and you could see on the video when he walked between the light camera, because he would eclipse the light. And we could see a small human figure being in front of the lights. Obviously walking like an adult, but at most 3 feet tall. What in the world were we looking at there?
Right? Like a
really
fairy.
Makes you wonder exactly where I was going to go. If that's like an elemental,
An elemental. Yes. Absolutely. Could be.
Because that's all I can think of was when you was talking about that was like a pukwudgie.
And this is I'll name the location. You can no longer go out. I'm there twice, which is as many times as anybody. Casa Madrid in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago. They had 3 and 4 foot thick walls, just in case they got raided by the police and the police wanted to break out a cannon. They would have a hard time shooting through the walls.
Wow. No, that'll do it. 3 foot wall.
Hide from the nuclear shit coming.
Have you seen that? Wicked chill came over me.
Yeah.
A wicked chill.
A wicked shit.
Bob is from New England like we are, and
He's
we
New
talk like
Englander.
this over here. We park our cars and
Yeah.
we get wicked chills sometimes when the ghosts come by.
Or a sign up in the back. You can't see it, but a
You
wicked
park the
time.
car and play in the yard.
We're playing the odd.
Yeah.
How do you odd work today?
But yes, that's how I felt too. That's why I really don't talk much about them, and I don't know much about much.
They
about
creep
them.
you out. I mean, you
Creep me out
still
way too
feel
much to research them.
feel it now, and this is why she was so resistant. And it sounds like nuts, like she wouldn't listen to the data for 3 weeks. But that's a true story. She would not.
Nope.
She would want to hear about it. Kept
I
getting
don't
mad
want
at
to hear
me.
nothing.
Stop
But-
talking about it. Yeah.
Josh,
I'm sorry.
Joshua's got a point. They're so quick. That one house I was at where they had the one shadow figure, we were having a seance. And I was running the camera. I was not in the circle. I was the camera guy for the night. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the view screen, and another guy was at the other end of the room with a camera also. We were watching the same figure at the same time run away from the circle, across the room, through a door, and down a hallway. And of course, I am not known for my common sense. I'm kind of like, if you ever watch Star Trek, the original series, Kirk was talking to Spock, said, you tend to try to think everything, and I tend to go where angels fear to tread, or rush in where angels fear to tread. And what I did, my friend jumped up. I ran right behind the shadow figure and watched him disappear into a wall.
You're brave.
Because my paranormal investigating, I'm kind of like a fireman. When a fireman rushes into a burning building,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
that's what I do with the paranormal. If I see a spirit, I tend to run toward it.
That's me, and Kristen is not that way.
Nope.
You go, I'm out.
I'm out. Is my saying.
And I'm like,
phrase.
oh,
It's, I'm out here.
Amy Allen saying that when a ghost is not crossed over, their energy weakens and they start to look dark. That's a theory I cannot argue with.
yeah. I mean, it's a theory.
It's
All we got.
it's all we have.
A very interesting thought, however.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
is.
interesting. It did light up if you pray for
Yeah,
them.
Yes.
that's
I
it.
love that.
We are having some very interesting comments and questions tonight. Being on the visual as opposed to the audio, they definitely can manipulate. Oh yeah, I do have video. You remember me? When we talking when I was on your show about some of the ghosts of Baxter's Grove and the Humphrey House?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Super interesting.
Okay, you remember me telling you how the Libby May would react to a certain K2 meter that had a temperature setter on the top of it.
Mhm.
And she would play with it and make different sounds with it. Well, I've got a video where it's on a headstone, and it was not quite, the headstone's kind of tilted, but the way K2 meter was sitting, it was not quite level. The head of it, the top of it, was pointed kind of slightly toward down, not quite level. And the camera's aimed right directly at the K2, and all of a sudden, it moves, it cocks sideways a little bit, and slides down the opposite way to where it was leaning. The wind was not blowing hard enough to move a K2 meter.
Mm-hmm.
You could hear our voices, and that camera would have picked up a wind, and it would have enough wind to move a K2 meter, and you couldn't have heard a word we said because all you'd heard was the wind blowing.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. You would definitely hear the
But
wind.
you heard,
Enough wind to
you
move
heard
one.
the sound. Yes. Yes, especially when you're using the mic on the camera without a sock.
Right.
And you saw it move and slide down, and it also moved while it was sliding, like somebody was trying to catch it.
That's really freaky. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, a phenomena is just so
Yes.
crazy.
Well, one other thing I didn't mention on your show, in Mattress Grove, and by the way, this was daytime medicine. Once we were there in the spring, and the temperature in the entire Chicagoland area was, I believe it was 68 degrees. In Mattress Grove, at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a lady came in with one of these fast, I call them fast thermometers because they react almost instantly. Very good thermometer that when you shift the temperature, it automatically reads the shift in temperature. She suddenly started realizing that it was reading 40 degrees in an area.
Wow.
And then she kept on looking at it, and it dropped down to almost freezing.
Come on.
It dropped down to, I think, 33, 34 degrees, but was maintaining 38 to 45 degrees in an area approximately the size of a refrigerator. We moved it down to the ground, and the temperature went back up to 68 degrees. So it was like just a normal size refrigerator was floating about 2 feet off the ground.
Oh.
We were not near a headstone. We were not near a tree of any kind. And you can't say it was the ground because when we got down within 2 feet of the ground, we went back to normal temperature. I have no explanation.
There really isn't one. It's just theories.
That physics goes out the window.
That's what. Yeah, exactly.
And that is the fun of it. And that's how you know there's something, at least something more than our normal 3D matrix-like existence.
Well, we can only see a small spectrum of the actual visual things. You know, we can't see even low infrared. We can barely see into the ultraviolet. In fact, the ultraviolet we can't see. We can see black light, which is what you see. My little ghost friends with my shirt here, and my little ghost friend here. You can see them because I have 2 studio lights that are black lights. The only light in this room is the screen and 2 black lights. And that's where you can see a little gravestone out here. You can see just how bright the black light is because that's UV paint.
Sure. Well, we're seeing the light reflect back.
But
that's what we're seeing, and that's because think about
we're
this.
seeing the light reflect.
How do you imagine like another sense? If we could develop some other sense, I mean, there might be things going on around us. Dark matter travels right through us. We don't even know it. We don't have the sense to tell when dark matter is going through us, right? It's hard to even imagine such a thing existing. We only know what our senses tell us, our physical senses. Right. And that's it, including the light spectrum. We're only going to see what our physical eyes will allow us to see. They'll only let us see that small slot. But let's be fair, right? If we saw things like radio waves and infrared and Bluetooth, if we saw all those things, it would be hard to navigate the planet.
What happens if there's like, say
because
we're in like another plane, and they're in another different plane, but yet they can interact with us, and we just like pass through them. What if we're the spirit?
Mm-hmm. Right. Because what if there's a being that can see very little into our world, only occasionally, like we can see occasionally into the spirit world, but they can see like we do, like we can see any object in our room, but they can see microwave emissions. They can see Bluetooth emissions. They can
Yeah.
see your wireless. That's on. That everybody's got wireless now in their house.
Right. What would it look like? What if it had a color?
What if you
You
could
know,
see that? You could.
you're walking through a fog or something.
If, God help us if it had a color. We couldn't use it because you can imagine having your Bluetooth on. You got a Bluetooth mouse or something on your wireless laptop. You couldn't see your screen.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. It's like our ears
Because
as
of
well.
all
Only
the
have a certain
light
range.
going around.
Some people like to try to record things outside of the range of human hearing. Most good microphones record a larger band than what the human ear can take. And some people get into what is it, the echolocation, like the bats, and you can record things out there with microphones and special software to kind of detune the bat noises, things within certain frequencies, and detune them so you know what's in that frequency. And people look at that as an area of research, outside of what humans can do.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about the differences in spirits with residuals. There's another story, of course, where John Dillinger got killed in Chicago. And people for several decades said they saw John Dillinger run down the alley, shot, and stumble and fall. Well, that's a brick wall. The clay, of course, cannot hold the amount of energy it can. So that scene has not been seen now in about 2 or 3 decades. So did that residual energy fade away out of the brick, and that unintelligent spirit energy fade away?
It's a really good question.
Right.
Yes, that's why we're all here. We want to know
Can
the
it
hows and
fade
whys.
away?
Yeah.
Right. If it's forgotten about, does it?
One thing I'd like to know is somebody who's in. They've recently painted a mural of John Dillinger at that spot in that alleyway. I would like to see somebody in Chicago, because Chicago's a 12-hour ride, about a 13-hour ride from here. That's non-stop. I'd like to have somebody, and that's challenge anybody who lives in the Chicago area, to go to the Biograph Theater and look in the alleyway. And it's a public alleyway, so you can go there at night if you want, and check and see if you can raise John Dillinger and get a voice. Would he come back to his mural just to admire himself painted on the wall? Would that reactivate the spirit being there?
Right. That's a really good question.
Yeah,
It,
definitely.
yeah.
We wonder.
People should go out there and keep doing that. Maybe, I guess, we'll see if somebody can see him.
I'm just looking through some of my videos to see if I have something I can share with you before we go. I was looking for something from the Conjuring House, which is out our way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We can keep talking on the subject. It'll take me a couple of minutes. It's a pretty big file, and I'll need to bring it over to the local machine here, local computer.
Okay. We can keep commenting on some of the comments we got here. And yeah, they're talking about something faded away. Because I think residuals can fade away. The energy does get used up.
As far as we all know, I think that's what they do. That's why they call it residual.
Magnetic tape only holds. The magnetic tape fades away. Stuff will fade off your tape over time. So, yeah, especially if something clay like those may only hold a residual spirit for so many years and it's gone. Now, if that was a granite block wall, the residual may still be there.
So
That's a theory of mine.
Yeah, you're basing it on like our math, like the amount of matter, right? Of what can hold what, which is lighter, which
The
is
density.
denser. Yes, the density. I get it. Thank you. It does make sense, though.
And here's a good question. Linda Judd doesn't know that much about me, but Nick and I used to be on the same team. In fact, when he got into paranormal, I was on a team with him. We did several investigations together. I was with him in fact, we were doing an investigation on his 21st birthday, and of all things, we were investigating a bar. And it was the first time he ever walked in the bar and could legally order a drink. I've known Nick for quite a few years now. And yeah, Nick's one. I've been trying to get him to go there, but he has not gone to the Biograph area as of yet. Richard Crow, he invaded that alleyway every year on the anniversary of the killing of John Dillinger. Richard Crow.
Okay,
He
yeah.
passed away working about 10 years ago now, 19 years ago, before I left Chicago. He's the one that started Baxter's Grove investigations, and he's the godfather of everything paranormal in Chicago. Everybody who's ever been in the paranormal in Chicago could trace their roots back to Richard Crow. He used to have a special. In fact, I'll be showing. I've got a recording of his last John Dillinger investigation / entertainment show on John Dillinger's anniversary, which is coming up this next week. So I'd actually be showing the last time Richard Crow was alive and did that. This was July, and he died the next June, 11 months later.
Hannah Namasset. That was the name of it.
It's from Conjuring.
Like I never remember.
Comes
that
out of
name.
nowhere.
It really does, doesn't it? Damn scroll came back.
That was the praying town we talked about earlier. Hannah Namasset was the original name. Residual is forever, Josh says.
Well, I'd like to think that as well.
In the correct materials, I would agree. Standing water can hold a residual.
Mm-hmm.
But if you drain the water off, does the residual fade away? And I think a denser stone, like a granite, can hold more of the residual for a longer period of time than, say, water or is like I was using the example of the alleyway, brick.
We have a good deal of limestone out our way.
Again, a theory. I cannot prove it either way.
Some people feel
I like it.
that might be part of the
Limestone
reason.
is also.
Yeah, lots of limestone here. There's a limestone mill, actually.
Oh, Bob Burnell said Bob Burnell says Nick's a friend of his. Bob, feel free to mention my name with Nick. He and I and his father Paul, and I've been friends for a lot of years, and have done several investigations. Paul and Nick helped me out with my Camp Douglas investigation, which is an investigation of a Union prison camp during the Civil War, actually there in Chicago.
So
Everybody in here knows Nick.
Yeah.
That video is copying over, and about 85% of the way, it's a large file.
Okay. We can keep on talking. Just let when it go.
the Nick?
Yeah, he's now doing things Chicago.
I'm not sure.
So if you don't know Nick Malay, look him up. He's on Facebook and YouTube. So he's a fascinating gentleman
Is he on Shadowhunters?
and has done a lot in the paranormal.
Is he the Nick from Shadowhunters?
Nick Malay's done a lot of stuff, and I don't know everything he's involved. No, don't think so.
I didn't think so.
No,
Yeah,
but if-
just
Or is
seemed-
he? I'm not sure.
Not
I don't
sure.
know.
We're not either. I
I don't think so.
We do know that Nick. We know some Nicks.
So what is the most retentive material in nature? I would have to go with the two materials we listed.
I don't know because then
And the next question
Quartz and selenite. Yeah, crystals.
is quartz.
I think
Selenite.
that crystals are definitely.
Of course, it's hard to find a wall made of quartz. If you want to hold some residual, build you a wall that was made of quartz and let it sit there for a couple of 100 years, and you probably got a history. You could find that if you could tap the energy out of the quartz, you would probably get an amazing story.
yeah, like a core sample. Yeah,
Yeah, I got the thing.
I don't know.
Let me just make sure this is the right.
I would-
Justin lives on limestone. I'm not
Yes.
sure. Okay, there it is.
The planchette.
Can you hear it?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not playing it from.
Yes.
So I gotta wait. Oh shit! Did I close it? No, I think it'll just play. All right. So I put that as share video. Sorry, technical malfunction between my ears. If you click in the backstage area, I put the video, and we'll load it first. There you go.
I'm charging that camera.
We're at the Conjuring House, and this is
I don't know. I still want to do the
we're
basement.
upstairs.
Too.
Yeah. It'd probably be cooler down there.
Oh no, yeah.
That's me
It
talking.
would be.
The kitchen actually, I don't know where the window is open or whatever, but it's actually quite comfortable. It's like really nice and comfortable.
What's going to happen is
Like
that
where we had dinner.
we're gonna. I forget how many minutes this is. I'm sorry, it's not edited, but
Planchette going crazy.
we start dealing
No.
with it. We find it like
Do you want us to go down in the basement?
Cameron, not yet.
No, I'm talking about the planchette thing.
Oh, the planchette. Are you afraid if we go down in the basement, we'll discover the secrets of this house?
That's a lot.
You are very direct, aren't you? Like, why beat around the bush?
Why not?
Should we stay upstairs and talk to you somewhere?
Do you
Weird.
give a crap if we go upstairs or downstairs?
old bedroom. The stairs there lead down to the first floor.
All right, staying up here it is.
What's that counting?
Yeah, I heard that.
That is, sorry, that is my S box
Oh,
because it has a
Yeah,
defect.
sorry, this is so long. That's why
We'll
it's
make
long to
that
copy
noise.
over. We're not really to
So
the good
that
part
it
yet.
drains the battery. I
oh.
could have returned
Okay.
it, but we were really
No way.
digging the S box. We were like getting constant data from it. We liked it a lot at the time. We're like, no, we're afraid it'll jinx it.
Yep.
And I
Well-
should have returned it because I was stupid.
I'm really glad you. I love it when you can quickly own up to something and explain something that somebody else heard. Like, nope, that was totally me. My watch is doing this weird thing right now. I don't know why it's doing it.
I know for me that gets on the recorder and everything. It's annoying.
You put a cat ball on the clown doll?
I did.
Wow, you are really asking for it.
I like the clown.
All right, well that sounds good for you.
That's true.
You do realize that clowns are kind of a thing, right?
I do.
Okay, just
I
check
know.
it.
Chris
YouTube
said-
clowns.
Grown up with very bad
I should have clownophobia.
story. Yeah.
I don't think I have
Not the
clown-
real name.
Yeah.
but I don't.
I don't think I have clownophobia. I just, given a choice of hanging out with clowns or not, I'm cool without clowns.
Oh, I had a childhood experience with the clowns.
And was it positive?
No,
No,
Jesus.
all.
that's
dude.
why I'm.
they wanted to kill
Don't
my parents.
understand him in the new.
What the fuck? Like why? Then why are you asking about clown dolls, man? Why you gotta go there?
I'm trying to figure out why the clowns. Send in the clowns.
Okay,
Yeah.
I am down with that reference. I will Frank Sinatra.
And now
Did Judy Garland sing that one?
I think it was Judy
It would be interesting because the REM seems to try to sing it with.
Yes, it was.
Garland.
Well, Frank made it popular. It was Stephen Sondheim was the original song.
If you're setting off the planchette, can you touch the cat ball? This little clear ball on the clown? It does. Do you like sending the clowns too?
Nice.
Send in
Isn't
the clowns.
it rich?
I don't think it said they wanted to sing it.
You don't know, honey.
I very
It's like,
think they do.
no.
They like the singing.
It's like my
Let
children.
Honey sing it then.
Dad, no.
Send in the clowns.
Are we a pair? It's like a duet.
That's awesome.
Look at us now, here at last.
Send in the
You
clowns.
in midair.
I
It gets
don't
better.
know
Just-
the words.
It's like
Send in.
But you know what I could do?
Dirty water?
Nope. I could play the Send in the Clowns.
No.
That's pretty cool.
Telling you.
You guys excited?
I
All
do.
right. Make sure you get the Frank version.
Oh, I gotta take it out of airplane mode. Might set off a K2.
What thing's beeping?
Which one?
The hot.
Heart, yeah.
Well, that always kind of fades. But it has been going off, yes. Every time you hear that, bzzz, that's it going off.
What era was Send in the Clowns from?
Well, Sondheim probably wrote it in the 50s. Sinatra recorded in the 50s.
bringing it up on YouTube and as an ad, of course.
That ain't it, kid. That ain't it, kid.
That's what you're hearing.
Never mind.
Fuck Liberty Mutual.
Never mind. That's the one.
Oh my
That's the Frankie one.
Do you like this song?
Damn! This was my grandma's song.
Really?
Well, Sinatra was my grandma's singer. She was huge, Frankie fan.
Do you know the words? Isn't
No,
it
it's-
real? Are we a pair?
Yeah. And you made it.
Can you sing it with us?
The light up.
This is amazing.
What you can do.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, I kind of like, a little, like, wow.
Are you seeing anything unusual? Anything?
No, I mean, I'm seeing what's going off. And I'm recording all of it, obviously.
It's like they're
It
singing
doesn't.
it.
It seems like it, right?
It really does seem like
Okay,
it.
And it doesn't normally do this, right?
No!
No.
And I'm getting chills again.
Me too.
It does not randomly fire like that.
This is awesome.
I
It's a
fall
sad song.
flat. Oh, it is such a sad song.
What is it about?
It's about two people who don't love each other anymore.
Oh. Oh, I'm gonna lay down.
It's still going.
It's going crazy.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes it's touching my hearing.
Oh.
It's a very sad song.
Does this song make you sad?
The phones are in airplane mode.
It's not the phone. It's not the recorder either.
Does it make you happy?
Did you start? I can't when you stop.
Yeah, then yeah.
It's an elephant hat, huh?
Yes, just now moving around here.
Junk, junk.
Did you like this song?
Should we play another song?
Gets
That
angry.
was like incredible.
Huh.
It was like almost singing the
It
song.
really was.
Right?
Yeah,
That was
that's
so
what I was thinking.
cool.
That's so cool. Thank you. You like that song, huh?
I think they want another Judy Garland song.
Oh, that one was Judy Garland, though.
Judy
That was the original cast recording, but it wasn't Judy Garland.
Oh. Was that Anne Murray?
It's Judy Collins.
Judy Collins.
Okay.
So anyway,
I'll
yeah.
just pause it there
Yeah.
because I didn't realize how long this was. No wonder it took so long to copy it over. Sorry about that.
We just needed just a clip of
There's more stuff I wanted.
You're only just over halfway through it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a lot.
I didn't realize that wasn't the edited clip. I think I do have a clip that's old.
Now, if you want to watch the rest of it, I'm game. That's up to you.
I think we're pretty good. We go on and talk about it, and when it didn't care for the Frank Sinatra one that our friend MJ likes so much,
Yeah,
and it wanted the original one, and that's what we were able to determine from the beeps and bops of the thing. But it was crazy. I think we played it again, and again, it seemed like it was just kind of ticking there, and it would go quiet. So yeah, pretty interesting. It was kind of fun.
no, and we debunked it too. That afterwards, how close of proximity and everything was to like the recorder and the phone being off of airplane mode, so it wasn't. any
Which
of those
yeah,
gadgets.
she means that we
I was
didn't cause it.
Barbaro's. Yeah,
And
Yeah.
as far as that goes, too, the phones, I find them to affect the EMF of like K2s and stuff. And I learned that lesson the hard way after having a conversation with a team and the thing seemingly talking to us, only to find out it was text messages that one of the investigators' phone was going off. But I didn't notice it with the REM as much. Walkie-talkies affect the REM pods big time.
Oh yeah.
You can't be anywhere near a REM walkie-talkie.
Yes, the music box is a REM pod. It's really cool. It's a plain chat.
Well, yeah, that's a REM pod. It's not actually a music box, and it's a custom-made one. It looks like a planchette that a friend Shannon brought to the investigation with us. And, of course, there was Clowny. This is our trigger object. We take Clowny wherever we go. So, yeah. You heard the clown explanation again. I forgot that was on there, too.
In a mini clip.
So, yeah, it was good times. That place has such a strange and weird energy about it.
You gotta be,
Right away.
you got to be careful with your equipment. I use motion detectors, and a wireless motion detector will set off both a K2 and a millimeter. And a millimeter, if you get too close to a K2, will set it off. A K2 will set off a K2.
Right.
So if you got two K2 meters, you don't want to wait of each other at the very least. And I'd rather have them in different rooms. And a K2 and a mil, some people use them side by side. They'll set each other off. You get false positives all night long. If somebody's operating a mil, I'd rather get at least in the next room, maybe rooms down, or maybe on the next floor, a couple of rooms down.
Is that far, really?
Wow.
Interesting. Yeah, you do have to be careful, and especially with the apps. that can, sense your location and that sort of thing. And
Right.
you want to be in airplane mode with that stuff. Ham radio.
Right. Well, when I use Echovox, I have it on a pad.
Huh.
Yeah. Ham radio set off everything. You got a lot of power there over a walkie-talkie or a CB radio. You got a lot more power. So ham radio with it'd be like a taxicab. If a taxicab passes by and you're outside, you can pick that up real quick, especially on a ghost box.
Sure. And some people use shortwave radio now, and that's really interesting. People like Annabella Cardoso, Rania Cavetti have been doing things with a direct voice response with like shortwave radio, and it's really pretty cool. They're not even scanning bands, they're just listening to a channel with nothing on it and getting voices.
We do that every now and then when we do the.
Have you ever gotten? Mm-hmm. Have you ever gotten an EVP off a walkie-talkie?
Not us. No.
No. Have you?
We don't even know.
I've actually seen that done.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
I believe.
Where just had a walkie-talkie with no walkie-talkies, nobody else around, and all of a sudden you get a voice over it, and you don't even have to push the button to go interactive with it. If a ghost can sit there and manipulate sound in the white noise of a ghost box, manipulating it in the white noise of walkie-talkies just is easier. Actually, you got a big old antenna there.
It's true.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think anything can work. Yeah. It really can. And it is like a bubble around the REM pod. Josh, that's a really good point. And I think at the front of the show, we mentioned AI, right? That was this show? Or was that our show? I forget. But with the way AI is growing these days, one really has to wonder, how can spirit manipulate that?
Right.
If you've heard some of the things that the thing,
that would be
AI,
interesting to have.
You wonder.
That would be an interesting experiment. Have a pad like I'd use with Echovox, so there's no phone connected to it. So with a pad instead of a phone, to get a pad with an AI connected to it, and see if the spirits can manipulate that. That would be shocking to get, say, a visual of whatever you're talking to, be it a spirit or be it an ether, whatever you're speaking, could actually appear in the AI. Could they do that?
Right. I mean, a ghost in that machine
Yeah.
is pretty damn spooky. Right. Well, it's the thing like the apps, the apps work. They can, there are fake apps. There are certainly false positives there too. It can work.
Well, yeah, you got some apps like Ghost Radar. You're talking about your phone sending out a signal that'll bounce back and can read. Your phone is not capable of sending out a kind of a radar signal and it bouncing back and it picking up, because a phone's not capable of doing that. The Echovox just creates vowel sounds and it's together out of a word bank, and spirits or whatever we're talking to manipulate it.
Exactly. Yeah, which is really
a phone can do that.
I like that. I like that one. I like another one we've used too from Hope Paranormal is similar. Everything is backwards in that one. It's a word bank, and all the words are backwards. And sometimes it comes out and says things and go, whoa, that totally did not sound backwards. And other times it sounds like the Swedish Chef.
That's what a lot of people call that apophenia. And then there's pareidolia with the sight and everything too as well. So yeah. Can hear things, but
yes, same.
It's harder. Yeah, it's harder.
Linda says does the stronger equipment produce less static? An Echo Box does have residual noise, but it does make less static than a Ghost Box.
Yeah, if you're talking about Ghost Box static noise, there's no static in the Echo Vox in that particular app. We have it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with the Bluetooth on my Apple phone, which is kind of a bummer. It limits my use of it. So I try some other ones. I imagine they have a newer version than the one I bought, because it's a small fee for Echo Box, but it's not a lot, right? I think it's around $12 or something.
Yes, it's not a lot. 20, yeah, something like that. So, Linda, if you want to learn a little bit more about Echo Box, tune in. I'll be on the YouTube channel at 11 o'clock on Tuesday. Well, I'll be doing maybe a little bit of Ghost Box of an SP7, but I'll probably spend at least 40 minutes, depending on what I'm getting. If I'm not getting anything, I'll shut it off. But I'll be doing at least 40 minutes with an Echo Box.
It's
Very
a good
cool
question, though. So does the stronger
want to learn how to use that?
I don't know how to answer that. I think it could produce. They both could produce static. I think they both can produce static. It depends on what the equipment
static,
is.
but also it's a good question of other things, like, because you got to factor in other frequencies, but like, and waves.
I don't know what's meant defined by stronger. I don't know how to answer that. But I think something with bigger batteries,
that's what
louder, more wattage or whatever is going to just be louder. Oh,
there you go.
Tuesday night Ghost Box sessions. You should, if you talk to Reggie.
Yes.
All right. If you were on his show, right? Beyond the Grave.
Behind us is it's got pictures of a ghost and
I saw
Tuesday an Echo Box,
Ghost Box session. So I thought of Reggie because he does kind of Ghost Box thing on Tuesdays too. You guys should get together for that. Be good.
Yeah,
we like
I think
experiments with Greg.
We could probably run.
Sorry. I was just saying we were in Metaphysical Crossings, Greg's show a lot. As in a rotation with him on that Wednesdays, and we do double blind Estes methods, and that produces some pretty interesting things. But it's pretty late for me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's look at Bob's question. I'm in microphone instead of. And you've got to have a good mic to pick up an EVP. That's the one thing about Echo Vox systems. They're using a mic on a phone. A microphone on a phone is usually pretty good.
I tend to record the things separately, so you can hear the questions and stuff too. So, but I don't know. To that point, there's that Panasonic. What is that? The Panasonic, the recorder. We have a friend that has one, Jerry Oni. It's that old one, and it really doesn't sound great as a recorder, but it gets the most incredible EVPs from the thing. They go for crazy money now. He got a pretty good deal on his. Do you know what I'm talking about? The DX
microphones are expensive.
Something like that. I can't remember right now. I'm tired, but that's pretty good. We use like field recorders. Go ahead.
You're talking to the dead by the bayou. Yep, that's me. All right, you said you needed to go on, so you got to get up in the morning. It is 20 minutes till 1 here in the Central Time Zone.
Central.
Yeah, we're in Eastern.
We're in Eastern.
So you're you're in Eastern, which means it's about 20 minutes before 2, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So one more time, tell everybody where they can find you and what times your shows are.
All right. You can catch our shows. We have 2 live stream shows. One of which is going to probably become more of a pre-recorded, produced video, and that's Dark Horse Paranormal. Right now, it's live broadcast on Thursday nights at 9:00 Eastern, 8:00 Central. You can find it Dark Horse Paranormal Productions on Facebook and YouTube. We also broadcast it to our other show's channel on Facebook, which is called Bigfoot and the Bunny, and that's on Saturday nights at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. And we do a lot of things with interviewing different people, and it could be a paranormal team, or it could be somebody talking about shamanism. It could be all sorts of things. Alien abduction phenomena is super interesting to us, so we cover a wide base of topics when we talk. Sometimes we share some of our data from our investigations, like we were doing tonight. And sometimes we just do things like open lines, and we let our audience come on. They'll send them a link, and they come on and talk to us. And it turns out a lot of them have had amazing, including some of the people in your audience right now, are fantastic experiences and are wonderful guests. So that's how you find that stuff out.
Absolutely.
And we love our people, man. They're the best. You guys are awesome.
You're our people too.
Yes, you are. And they're everybody's people. You see these guys jumping show to show.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's such a great scene kind of on Facebook right now in the paranormal world, isn't there? I mean, there's so many good shows out there. It's really cool. And so that's where you can find us. Look us up on Facebook. YouTube is Dark Horse Paranormal Productions. YouTube.com/@Dark Horse Paranormal will get you there. And that's all our shows on one channel. Convenient. You can watch it offline, whatever. We have all kinds of stuff, and even some special things for the YouTube channel that aren't on Facebook. So please go and subscribe to that, because we'd like to do more stuff with the YouTube.
Yes.
Well, YouTube has the best video. They've got a better sound and a better video than Facebook, I believe.
They do. They have a better system.
Okay. That's sweet.
Well, it's designed for videos. Facebook is designed for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But we love Facebook too. That's where most of our
It's a great place. And of course, that's why I'm on StreamYard broadcasting to both. But it's been really great talking to y'all. We're going to have to do this again. I'd love to appear on your show sometime again. If you think of me, if you're ready to do a show and you've had a cancellation or something, send me a private message, and if I can't, I'll be there for you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
We'll
and thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it.
We do. We appreciate it. We want to thank everybody that joined tonight.
Well, you're fantastic people. And yes, I'd like to thank everybody who showed up tonight. We had some great chat. We had some great questions, great theories. It was almost like having 2 or 3 more guests on the show with the discussion that we were having there for a while. So definitely want to thank them. But I really like to thank y'all. I think we opened a few eyes tonight. We had some great discussion tonight, and I loved every minute of it. And I'm not wanting to end the show, to be honest with you.
No, I apologize. If I didn't have to work tomorrow,
sorry.
I'd probably stay up a little later, but I do have to get up in a few hours. So we really appreciate it. Again, we'll definitely, we're just getting started with the conversations. We love good conversation. That's what it's all about. And thank you so much, Len.
Well, next week, by the way, will be probably a recorded show. I'm recording it Sunday. I'll be invite Nick Malay. Nick has been almost too busy to appear on my show. Nick is welcome anytime he wants to, any chance he can. I've got another shotgun investigator, Tony Zabelski, who's a tour guide in Chicago. He recently got back from New Orleans, so I'm going to be recording Sunday morning, and show it next Thursday about his trip to New Orleans and some of the investigation he did there. So if you want to see a recorded show of talking about some of the spirits of New Orleans, take a look after your show next Thursday night.
Thank you. We
Sounds
will.
good. We will.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again.
Because Tony got some amazing stuff. He investigated some of the top places, including Myrtle's Plantation. So if you ever want to see somebody else version of Myrtle's rather than a TV version, tune in next week.
Excellent. Thank you. That sounds wicked cool.
So
right.
I will say goodnight to you. And y'all take care. And it's the pleasure has been all mine tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
You
It's
so
been
much.
ours too. Believe me. We've had a great night. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Talk soon.
Y'all take care. Oh yeah, we will. All right. That is the end of our show tonight. We've had some great guests. We had some great conversation. I appreciate everybody in the chat room. And we still got continuing chat. Good night, everybody. Good night, Carol. I really appreciate everybody showing up tonight. Great conversation. The next week will be a reward show because Tony works most nights. Remember to smile. I try. I don't have a big toothy smile like other people do. I apparently somewhere in my heritage is a very stiff British upper lip. So my smile is more of a attitude. Anyway, did you laugh at yourself? I don't know. Anyway, like I said, next week will be a recorded show. Tony Zabelski. He is, that's a complicated last name. We will be showing some of the highlights of his investigations in Orland. As a vacation. So we'll be showing some of his basically vacation photos and vacation investigations. That's a true paranormal guy. When you work paranormal, doing tours for a living, take a down in New Orleans and investigate New Orleans for your vacation. And that's dedication. That's paranormal dedication. Of course, I did the same thing. So, oh well. See you next week. Well, you'll see me. I guess I may watch my own show. I'm not sure. I will be back live, not on WLFE, but I will be back live on my midnight special show on Saturday night. Next Thursday night, Good night, everybody. I'm back again. Got kicked out of my own show as I'm going through the outro. Oh boy. Anyway, good night, everybody. See you later on the next show. See you Saturday. See you. Just remember, the paranormal never sleeps. Apparently I don't, considering the hour it is.
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?